What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Slob on the Pod. Before we get into this episode with George, I just want to thank our sponsor for the podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Liquid IV. Liquid IV is one stick in 16 ounces of water, hydrates faster and more efficiently than water alone, contains 5 essential vitamins, B3, B5, B6, B12, and vitamin C, made with 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks, like Gatorade and Powerade and that bullshit by Logan Paul Prime. Made with 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks, made with premium ingredients, non-GMO, and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. What makes Liquid IV so effective? The science of cellular transport technology, which is CTT, designed to enhance rapid absorption of water and other key ingredients into the bloodstream. One stick of Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water hydrates faster and more efficiently than water alone. Guys, once again, thank you, Liquid IV, for sponsoring this podcast. Thank you, Liquid IV, for allowing me to put your name on this podcast. I know this podcast is always a shit show. It is not the greatest, but somehow Liquid IV always has trust in me. Liquid IV has trust in me, and Liquid IV will have trust in you. Thank you, guys, Liquid IV. Liquid IV is always an awesome thing. Like I've always said, Liquid IV always saved my life. If, the night before I had too many drinks, I got a little hangover. Honestly, a Liquid IV, my main specific one, lemon lime. I'm just going to say that. Lemon lime is my favorite. Lemon lime, Liquid IV in the morning after a hangover is one of the best. It's honestly one of the key ingredients to my hangover. My reasons why I get over my hangover is because of Liquid IV. I first started drinking a Liquid IV because of a hangover, so it kind of just worked out that way. And also and honestly, I take them before a workout, before work, actually, in the mornings when I wake up. Even if I'm not hungover, I just like to take one just to be safe. I work outdoors. I'm a landscaper, I do my Mexican thing. Your boy does his Mexican thing, but the only way he gets it done is with Liquid IV. That's right, guys, Liquid IV, especially this past summer in Arizona. It's been hot as hell, but now we got the winters coming. Doesn't mean you can't stay hydrated. In the summer, in the winter time is when especially you got to stay hydrated, because I know this, when it's cold, I don't feel as thirsty for some reason, but little do you know, your body's being dehydrated. Best thing to do if you don't want to be chugging water all day, dude, just get a stick with liquid. Get a stick of Liquid IV, pour it in your bottle of water, drink that, and you'll be good. Have a few of those, and then you'll be set. I drink them after work as well. They also have other things. It's not just like hydration. They have energy boosters. I drink those as well after work, especially when I get off work. I'm a little exhausted. I kind of want to take a nap. Pop a little 16 ounces of water. I put some energy booster from Liquid IV, and it gets me going. That way I can do these podcasts. That way I can edit on the podcast. Kind of gives me energy. I'm telling you guys, I swear by it. Get Liquid IV. Everyone that the best people in the world. If you guys all know this one guy, I don't know if you guys know him, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan uses Liquid IV. Every podcast you think of, they use Liquid IV, and that's because Liquid IV is such an amazing product. Remember, guys, if you guys want to experience this hydration, this energy filling from a little small packet without buying all these Red Bulls and energy drinks and drinking tons of water, just get a stick of Liquid IV. You guys can go online. You go to liquidiv.com. You get 15% off plus free shipping when you use my promo code, which is SLOB, S-L-O-B. That's one word, S-L-O-B, 4 letters. You get 15% off plus your shipping when you go to the liquidiv.com. Go to the website, get whatever you want on the website, and just use my code. You're welcome. Thank you, Liquid IV, for allowing me to share this awesome product with everyone else. Everyone else, you guys all know what Liquid IV is. Most of the people I talk to know what Liquid IV is. You know what I'm saying? They know. I said, you guys want a water bottle? They're like, what's water? And then I said, you guys want to stick a Liquid IV? And they're like, yeah, I'll have one of those. Because everyone knows what Liquid IV is. So thank you, Liquid IV, for sponsoring this episode. Remember, go to liquidiv.com. You get 15% off plus free shipping when you go to liquidiv.com and use promo code SLOB. S-L-O-B. That's right. SLOB, 15% off. Remember, liquidiv.com, promo code SLOB, get 15% off plus free shipping. You're welcome. And let's get into this episode. On this snap, we're going to introduce the guest. Here we go. Yeah. Well, no, and that's a funny thing too. Is going like I remember when I first joined the military, a lot of my friends were like, "Bro, like when you get in, you have to let us know like about aliens and stuff," because they just assumed that because I was in, that I would know like this information.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know if I could tell you. I was like, but like I always
Isn't
told
it funny when you get in the military, you think you're gonna be doing this like fucking Navy SEAL shit, and then you're like, then you end up like just doing paperwork on a Friday, like okay, like it's just like so redundant. It's like this is not what real military life is like.
Well, I think people assume that once you join the military, you have this knowledge of secrets, because it's something that a lot of people don't like. They always call us the 1%ers, right? Not a lot of us join, so the small amount of us that do, then we have access to this like huge thing of like secrets of the world. And so and it's funny because once you join, you're like, bro, they barely tell us like what we're gonna do tomorrow. Like,
Tara would get mad because she'd be like, oh, like, because once you're getting ready for a deployment or whatever, like you do a workup cycle, and you're in your platoon, and you go to ranges and you train and whatever, and then but it's like it was never a thing where it's like, for sure this day this is what we're doing. No, it was always like, hey, be ready for anything, because and then Tara would be like, wait, but like when are you leaving? And I'm like, I don't know. And she'd be like,
when are you coming back?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And then like, well, what time? And then I'm like, I don't know. So it's just like this. It was always like this I don't know shit, and it was just so redundant. I mean, even on my last deployment, it was just like, we went home a week early, but it was more of like, oh, I don't know when I'm coming home, so I don't know. It was just a lot of redundancy. So,
well, I think a deployment is different because, oh, dude, so like I mean, they called it a deployment, but it was like a rotation when we went to Korea.
It's more of like a booze cruise. That's what we call it in the Marine
Corps.
Oh,
that's
yeah. Yeah, it's like when you go on ship and you just do nothing but drink and you go to ports. But I mean, I got fucked over on my last MEU because like we were supposed to land in South Korea on my first deployment, and then we ended up only getting so the closer we got to South Korea, it was like this thing where it was like the closer we got to South Korea, the lieutenant was like, okay boys, we got 5 days of libo. And then I was like, okay. And then like we're like,
what is that, like vacation time or something?
Yeah.
Like off time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can go travel, like you can go look around the port.
I'm sorry, I just laughing because I just scratched my balls right now. Am I allowed to do that here?
Yeah, dude, I do. Dude, I'll do this all the time. It's all good. Dude, I pick my nose sometimes, and later I'm like, fuck, did I do that while I was on camera?
Just a quick pinch and roll.
where you pinch the nuts to scratch it. Dude, I've always thought like that's funny that like, cause like I like if my nuts itch, I won't like rub them. I'll like pinch them and do this. Like, and I'll be like, oh. And so like, I remember one time here, I forgot who it was, but there was a comedian that made a joke about that. I think it was George Lopez or Carlos Mencia, and he was talking about that, like doing the whole like pinch thing. And I was like, oh, okay. So like, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can scratch your nuts all you want.
It's cause like when you just like try to like, it's like you never hit the spot, bro.
Not even like a rub or something. Like you have to like give it like a pressure and like rub it around. Yo, guys listening, girls, you're welcome.
But open it up with scratching balls.
But hold on real quick. Let me do the intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Slob on the Pod, your barber's favorite podcast to listen to when he's cutting hair. Today I'm joined by George Cordova.
Hello.
What's up, my boy? This is my barber. This is Celebrity Barber. He's making his way up. I already told him. I'm telling you now. When I make it big and stand up, I'm gonna fly you out so you can cut my hair before the show.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, there's I don't know people that do that, but like I'm kind of like I've come in contact with people that kind of do stuff like that where they they get flown out. Like I know, well, I don't know, but there's a guy that Vic Blends. I'm pretty sure you've seen.
I was gonna say
He gets-
something blends. Yeah,
he gets flown out by like Lil Baby.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
football players. I have him on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that shit is crazy. So.
But yeah, so welcome, George. Back to what you were saying about South Korea. You guys were supposed to go to South Korea.
So.
Oh yeah. So he's a former Marine.
Yeah. That just means I didn't get accepted into college. So.
Yeah, I know. Right? Or like me, I went
know.
to college and I failed a lot.
No, I saw this TikTok that was like, it was this guy that was like, military people always be saying, oh, bro, you don't know how hard it is with all these cheesy military posts, and it's like the guy was like, no, we do know how hard it is. That's why we didn't join.
That's fucked up. Yeah, dude. And honestly, when people post that, I'm like, that's totally cool, man. Like, I get it. Like, I'm glad you figured it out before I did.
Yeah, bro. Because like once you sign on that dotted line, man, there's fucking no going back, dude. Not unless you want to like do 10 years in jail.
Yeah, there's no contract in fucking college. I wish the military was like that, though.
I know. Well, I mean, officers can kind of like, dude, I've actually seen an officer get fired before. So like
let go.
Yeah, because you know how officers are commissioned, so they go do the whole college hoopla, and they get their bachelor's, and then they go to either West Point. I think it's for the Army. I think it might be the same for the Marine Corps, whatever. Anyway, so they go to
the Air Force Academy.
Yeah. So they go to a military college, and then they end up getting they get commissioned through there, and so being commissioned is more of like, okay, like. I'm sorry.
I like how you burp and then you're like, and then I feel like you're gonna be like, can I burp?
Yeah,
dude. Sometimes I'll take the mic off and fart, so it's all good.
No, but so like being a commissioned officer is like you basically like attain a job through a bachelor's degree, kind of like in the military.
Well, isn't it that they sign up saying that they're gonna go to college, or is that something different where they go to college and then the military pays for their college, but then after they graduate and get their bachelor's or whatever, they have to do at least like 4 years or some shit? Is that something else?
I mean, I think everything has a contract, but I don't really think that, because like I said, like being an officer it's basically a job, dude. Like you can get fired from that shit, and I've seen that get like we were actually training in 29 Palms.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's California, right?
Yeah, California. It's like by Coachella area.
Okay.
Yeah. So and we were doing like a live fire drill where artillery is kind of like, we're bounding with tanks to the objective, and then the officer in command of our platoon commander was he was, because when you're doing an operation like that, or like even just training, it's very hectic. Like you're on the mic or you're on the net, and the net is like, like you're listening to all the radio chatter. So you're listening to artillery, you're listening to air, you're listening to like, whoever the fuck is talking. So okay, like, yo, we're hitting this coordinate right here. Do not fucking go there before you're supposed to be there, or you'll get blown the fuck up.
Yeah.
And so like we're bounding to this objective with tanks. And like I said, like that, like net chatter is very hectic, so it's hard to make out. And then plus, like, I feel like military gear is like so fucking like outdated. Like it's like it just sounds like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like
it's like for like the most the thing that you would want to be the most clear.
Yeah.
Is like so distorted.
Yeah, $1,000 radio sounds like a fucking Wish microphone.
Yeah, that's why it's so funny, because every time once I joined and stuff, like I would hang out with people like in the military, and like they would be like, when you ever see those commercials where it's like, oh, this is a military grade flashlight. My friends would be like,
from that.
they were like, they were like, oh, so you mean it's gonna break in a few minutes? Like,
yeah.
And it's so true. Like that's very true. Is like a lot of people don't understand that just because we're in the military and we're supposed to be like the heroes of like this country, like the people that go to war for this country, we're expected to be, equipped with the most amazing, like the top-notch shit that's never gonna break. It's gonna work at the time that it should, and it's the total opposite. It's like radios go down all the time. our weapons get jammed. Fucking sometimes we lose comms with so much like shit. Like the main thing that's supposed to happen.
Dude, like the radios that were in our Vics, it was like anytime like because with tanks and like tracked vehicles, they're very rough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like fucking we're bouncing all over the place, and then like the J2 cord, like fucking as soon as you get onto like some wobbly road, it just like pops out, and you're like, hello, can you read my last? And it's like, and you look back and it's like, oh, my fucking radio's unplugged, dude.
Yeah.
But back. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, were you a driver or something, or?
Well, so the way it works for like any vehicles or vehicle commanders or whatever MOS you have, like, so if you're tanks or you're what I did was AAVs. It's like a tank that floats in the water.
Oh yeah, they were. What's the word?
AAVs.
No, but
amphibious.
Amphibious.
Yeah.
Amphibious vehicles. Okay, yeah.
So that was like.
I always like that word. That's why.
Yeah, it kind of sounds sexy, huh?
Amphibious. Yeah, because you think amphibious like a lizard or something, like something sleek, like smooth. Yeah.
And so I'm sorry. What were we talking about again?
We started off talking about Korea, but they were talking about how.
Yeah. I'll never get to finish about that story about the officer.
Oh yeah, the officer.
I was gonna go back to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically that guy like
how he got fired.
Yeah, how he got fired. Fucking, it was just so much going on at that point in time because you got artilleries, you got mortar, you got like rockets fucking flying overhead, and this is just training. And that night, that officer goes into the COC, and the COC was like it's like a command post, and that's where our captain is, the company commander. And he tells company commanders, like, this is too much for me. I'm fucking, like, I can't handle this. And he fucking dips. Oh, sorry.
Like, he just gave up?
Yeah, he just gave up.
Oh,
and,
shit.
like, they, like, didn't yell at him. They didn't do anything. They're just like, okay, like, we'll send you home. And because you're commissioned, you can get fired. So, like, I don't think that's what people, like, a lot of people don't understand about, like, officers.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can get fired as an officer, bro. Like.
So, do you get downgraded or you just get kicked out the military?
No, you just, it's like you getting let go from a job, just like a normal job, bro. Because you gotta think about it, it's like you're commissioned, so like you can just get fired. Like,
so are you no longer part of the military, or they downgrade you to like a different job?
No, you just know that you get separated, so you're no longer part of the military. So it's like it's just like getting fired from a job or let go from a job. And
you don't have to do prison time or nothing?
No, dude. And
what
then
fuck?
and I'm sitting there and I'm like, if I did that shit, I'd fucking go to the brig for that shit.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so fucking. And that's the thing. Like, a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people don't know, but if you don't know, people that usually go that route, like commissioned officer, go to college and then straight to the military, and they become an officer.
Mm-hmm. You got your shades on, so can I put my shades on?
Oh, dude, go for it. So,
it's like, I didn't want you to be the only one.
No, dude, go for it. I fucking love those. Are Oakley's, by the way.
Yeah,
huh?
These were given to me actually.
Really?
Yes.
Those are clean. I like those.
I love these, dude, because like it just like I think it goes well with a mullet and everything, and it's just like it's got.
It's part of it.
Yeah, it's part.
Yeah,
of it.
dude. Yeah. If you didn't have a mullet, you probably couldn't wear those.
Well, I still
Just kidding.
like stylish glasses. I don't know. I'm like,
dude, I do too.
Like it's weird because like I like eccentric shit. I like being expressive and shit like that.
Oh, dude, yeah. Like we kind of put on our own like Kanye thing minus the Jewish part.
We're gonna get canceled, dude.
Dude, every episode.
What's up with that? What's that whole like? Because everybody, dude, I feel like, dude, because I've been so busy, like just creating content and like doing my own thing, and
yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah.
Okay. Like whenever somebody,
you're out of the loop.
Yeah, I'm like so out of the loop because I'm like I'm like so focused on this one thing, and I'm like, dude, like whenever somebody's like, hey, did you hear Russia's doing this, or Biden said this, or fucking I don't know, Senator so and so is like, I'm like, dude, I don't even know, like I like could barely do the laundry in my own fucking house, so you know what I mean? It's like I don't know how people keep up with this shit. I'm like, fuck, bro, because like.
Nah. Dude, I'm on the same page. With the whole Kanye thing, I only know because one, I follow him, and two, I follow TMZ, so I get like little things here and there, but like I don't click on them. I don't really read the whole like story behind it.
Yeah.
All I know is like something about he said something about Jews, and then because of that, like or Jewish people. I don't know if Jews was like a derogatory term, but like it's he said something bad about it, or he said something, and so because of that, like he got dropped from Adidas. Like anyone he worked with, his school, like Donda, his school he had. I don't know if you know about that. He had his own little like school. They all the teachers and stuff they heard about it and they were like, oh, we don't want to work for you, so that got shut down. Supposedly he's not like a billionaire anymore because he lost so much money and all this stuff. He tried going to Skechers kicked him out. I don't know. I just know like whatever the title is all I know. So I just kind of go off of that. So I don't know too much.
But what's up with the whole like why is everyone saying like he's like so anti-Semitic or whatever? And it's just like
okay. First off, I don't understand. What's anti-Semitic? What does that mean? I've heard that term.
Anti-Semitic is like
is it like a fancy word for racist?
It's basically like racist against like Jewish people or
so it's specifically Jewish people.
Yeah. So it's okay. If you're anti-Semitic, which is kind of weird because it's just like I would just call it racism. You know what I mean? It's not
exactly.
Really
yeah, it's not.
I don't know why it's like its own thing.
I think maybe
I'm not saying like it shouldn't be its own thing, but it's like more like I don't know, just like I don't know how that came out about. You know what I mean? Like anti-Semitic.
Yeah, I don't know. So I get my information just based off like Instagram mainly. Mm-hmm. I'm the same as you, as I assume, which is like I don't really follow things. If I go on Instagram, I'll see it and I'll be like, oh, okay, that's what's going on. But dude, honestly, there's so much news on Kanye at this point that I just stopped following it. As far as like I don't pay attention to it.
There's so much news on everything, dude. It's like I think that like just there's. That's why I came to a realization of like you just can't know everything, and then I think that like I feel like information is the new porn. You know what I mean? It's like everybody wants to like learn what the latest thing with like Putin and like.
Well, do you think it's like FOMO? You know what FOMO is? Like fear of missing out?
No, I think it's more. I think people. I think it's a combination of things. I think people like to be scared, and they like to. I mean, I think it's because people develop habits of like, oh, like think about like news is like the way they market like news is like they bundle it up as this like sexy thing. It's like, oh, look, if it have you ever heard the term if it bleeds it leads? It's that's the new porn to people. It's like, fuck, like I gotta keep up with this because it's like so juicy, you know what I mean? But it's like blown out of proportion. It's like, dude, it's just like that. They're just like they're twisting little things for them to grab you in. You know what I mean? For you to be engaged.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing as like what do they call it? Clickbait.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a certain title.
Yeah.
That catches people's attentions. Mm-hmm. Like no one's gonna say like, oh, like if the title of this podcast was, me and George,
I actually read a
my
book
barber.
On
that. About what?
About like titles and like how
much they influence people's attention.
Yeah, because like think about so it's this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it was interesting on the
Asian guy, right?
Yeah, have you ever read that book?
No, one of my buddies handed it to me. I probably read like
it's probably like
chapter.
in the backseat of your car underneath your passenger seat.
It's on my so I have a nightstand where I have like a drawer, and that's where all my books are. Mm-hmm. And I have like 4 there that I'll read like the first chapter, like because I try to do this thing where I try not to use my phone before I go to bed. I'll set my alarm, put it down, and then like
so you want to read like pages.
Also, I want to read because
why don't you do audiobooks? You ever heard of audio? Like
I like the actual thing though.
Why?
I don't know because I think it's like a thing in me where I want to have the book. I want to put it on a bookshelf. Like whenever I'm done reading something, I think I like the whole like this is what I've read. I'll show you instead of like, oh, here's my phone. Like here's the things I've read. Like no, I want to read the. I don't know what it is, man. I think I just like physically having the book in my hand.
I think maybe people have been like, I think and I've met people like this. But I think having a bookshelf is sexy to people because when they bring people to their house, they're like, oh, look, he's got X amount of books and he's read this book. And like, not saying that that's what you do.
No, yeah.
But
that's exactly what I do.
Or sometimes it's like people are taught to like, oh, I got to read, because to me, like.
Books equal smart.
Right. which they can if you use them in the right way and if you apply what you've learned in the right right. But I think that like to me, for the way I learn, I cannot sit there and read a book, bro. I've literally like the last 3 books that I've read have all been audiobooks, and I've been fucking listening to them over and over and over and over and over, and it's much more efficient than just sitting there. Because if I sit there and I read a book and then I hear the dog do something and then Tara says something on,
you have to put it away,
and then I'm like, what's that? And then like I'm like, I can't. But if I listen to it, it's like someone talking to me, and I'm like, this is a much more efficient way to read books. You know what I mean? And
that's such a good point, actually. I never thought about it that way. Maybe I'll buy the book just so it can look sexy, and then also just do the audiobook. It'll be like counterintuitive, but
actually they say, okay, so I read this book that a lot of these books that I've been reading, they all encourage you to buy the actual book and then
follow along
while you're listening to it.
Like when you were in school.
Yeah.
As the teacher read, you had to follow along. Yeah.
But it's kind of like an interesting experience because I tried it the other day, and I still don't really like sitting down and turning pages, because to me it's like, I think that like in general people are taught a certain way, and they're like, well, this is the way it's been done, and I'm going to do it for the rest of my life, and I'm never going to learn anything else, right? But like, I think it's good to be like, take a step back and remove yourself from the situation. Be like, okay, what is more efficient is, and for some people it might be reading a book in silence, but for me, I have like a crazy scattered brain, bro. Like I always think about the next thing.
Oh, dude.
So
same.
if I just sit there and because I can listen to a podcast all day, and so I had that same mindset. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just listen to a book because it's just like a podcast, and
that's such a good idea.
You know what I mean? It's so much more. I mean, like Gary, you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, right?
Gary V.
Yeah, I think he said he was
I
like,
don't like him.
You don't?
I can't buy into the whole like buy a Hot Wheels car, make money, buy a Pokemon card.
Yeah.
Like, and I understand there's probably more to it that I have to really understand where he's coming from.
I think I understand where you're going with it. Is just like you see pretty much. I'm almost certain that most of what you've seen of him is probably like all the corny shit, which I don't like either. Yeah. I don't like the whole like
make a quick buck.
Well, I'm more on my side. I'm more like, dude, I hate like, I do like some motivational stuff, but I'm not like to me it's just more mental masturbation. It's like if you hear people tell you like you can do it, and you go to these seminars that tell you can do it, you know what I mean? Which is like what a lot of people that have consumed very Gary Vaynerchuk stuff is like, oh, like it's so inspirational. But it's like for me, I'm more like, okay, like I know I can do it. Just tell me how.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm more into stuff like that. So like I totally understand like why, like, because at first when I was kind of like, when I heard of Gary Vaynerchuk back in like, 2016, 17, I was like, who is this guy? And then, but now I'm kind of like, oh, okay, like this guy's, I mean, he owns the Jets. I think that's pretty cool. I think owning a team.
The football team?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, so he has money. I mean, I knew he had money, but I didn't know he had like football.
Yeah. Well, he started with his own wine company, and he
used to do YouTube videos, right?
Yeah.
Tasting wines and like rating them.
I want to say he founded his own wine. He founded his own wine company. Excuse me, that fucking beer is biting, bro.
Oh, dude,
I almost kind of want another one.
Oh, dude, yeah, there's more in there.
Do you mind?
No, go for it. I'll take another one.
Oh yeah.
Fuck it, I'll keep talking. But no, for my thing, I think the whole Gary V thing was just, it seemed like a gimmick to me. Most videos I see of him was like, if you guys all know, he's the guy that wears like the fucking beanie and shit on his head, and he's always talking the beanie thing, right?
I hate that. That's like that 2012 pastor's kid beanie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like he wears it like half on his head. Like if you're gonna wear it, wear a full beanie or don't wear it.
It looks like a half chub. I think I saw like.
I'll put a picture here. Because I'm one of those people where like if I hear someone's like, do you know so and so? I'm like, show me a picture. Like if I see a visual, then I understand who he is. Mm-hmm. But no, dude, like for me, like most TikTok videos is where I think I found him, was where he's trying to sell like baseball cards or Pokemon cards or whatever, anything that was like anyone trying to sell on eBay, like that's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, go to the thrift store, go to the thrift store, try to find this. Go to the comic book store, try to find this. And I'm like, okay, cool. But like that was his thing, was just like not making a quick buck, but invest your time into something that's gonna make money for you.
Yeah.
So the time you spend on it, that's also so like if you're going out looking for stuff, at least try to find something that's gonna make money for you.
Yeah.
And so like he always posts that shit. So I was like, and for me it was kind of corny. It was like everything was just like when he said it, I was just kind of like, well, no shit, no duh. You know, like, yeah, if I go find this amazing baseball card, you know, this rookie card of I don't know, fucking my mind's blanking right now, but any fucking famous baseball person, it's like, then yeah, of course you're gonna make money off of it. So I was just like, I don't know if this is my guy, but
Yeah.
he was always posting stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, what you were saying?
What was I saying?
God, usually I'm that guy that. But no, you were saying that how you first started listening to him, and that he's what turned you on to not like goal setting, I guess you could say.
He wasn't kind of like, well, because like around 2015, that's where like shit started to break through for me with like, you know, like I guess like entrepreneurship, if that's what you want to call it.
In 2015, were you still in the military?
I was getting ready to join, and I actually had a friend that was trying to like get me to join this MLM, but like I was totally falling for it.
What's an MLM?
Like multi-level marketing. It's like the pyramid schemes. Like,
the pyramid schemes. Oh,
hey, you join. Hey, bro.
Selling knives door to door. Right? Is that
Mary Kay? No offense to any Mary Kay.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, like you can make money if you are a very skilled salesman. I mean, like sales is a skill. You know what I mean? So
dude, yes.
If you know how to sell, you know, anything to anybody, like you can, you know, it's just like everything is almost sales. You know what I mean? You're selling, like, you know, you're making whatever you're trying to promote sexy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's funny because one of my good, actually I guess you would say my brother-in-law, my girl's brother, we both worked at a consignment lot, which is like it's a used car dealership.
What was that experience like for you?
Marco, so I worked with Marcos Diaz. Shout out to Marcos Diaz. And we worked at a consignment lot, which was a used car dealership. But so like, say there's, you know how you see in people, they try to sell their cars on the side of the road and they have like for sale signs.
Yeah.
You could bring your car to us, and you could we would park it on our lot. We would drive it around. We'd keep it clean. We'd make it look presentable, and we have a bigger audience. You know, we have social media. We have, you know, the penny sales.
Missing a transmission or some shit, huh?
So actually no, it wasn't like because like our boss would look at the vehicle, he'd be like, you know what, like honestly, like we're not gonna sell that, like it has too many problems. So no, like we were legit, we weren't sketchy or nothing. And when we saw potential in vehicles, we were like, yeah, actually, you know, someone has actually came in for looking for a, you know, four-wheel off-wheel vehicle, or a sports car, or a razor, or a dirt bike, or a Harley, or whatever. So we would put them out, and we would, you know, post them on social media and stuff. And dude, and honestly, like you said, like sales is very, very tough, dude. Like for me, like I was a salesperson, but like I don't like to bug people. So like, say someone comes up, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, I'm looking for, you know, automatic vehicle or a manual vehicle or whatever. And so I'd show them those vehicles, and then they'd be like, you know what, like I don't like these. I would just be like, okay, cool. Like you don't like them, cool. But not like not like in a disrespectful way. I just didn't want to bug them because our boss wanted to be like, oh, well, you don't like this? Well, let me show you this. Well, you don't like this? Let me show you this. You know, this has this features. I couldn't do that. Once I saw people were like, no, I don't see anything I like. I'm like, okay, like thank you for your time. But and I was terrible at it.
Yeah.
And then my Marcos was very like, he was like, oh, well, like, what are you looking for? Like, well, I'm looking for a car for my daughter. You know, it's going to be her first car. We want it to be safe. It's like, oh, well, we have this, you know, 2012 Honda Accord, great miles, all all this shit, and then like he would just keep going and going, and they'd be like, well, like I don't really want a Honda. Like, oh, okay, well we have this, and I don't really want a truck, and it's like, yeah, but if your daughter ever needs a truck and she wants to haul something, like she's got the space, and he's like, you know, like he was really good at it.
Silver tongue devil, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. It's a skill, bro. Like
it really is.
I mean, I don't, but it's you can also like kind of take that over to this too, because it's like, you know.
That's what, my bad. Don't mean to interrupt you, but that's what I was getting at was once I left the job and stuff and I started the podcast and I was doing all this, he's a really good supporter. He's always, you know, told me that I should keep this going. And he even told me like, bro, like as a podcaster, as what you're doing, you are a salesman. You're trying to sell yourself and you're trying to sell like what this all is to other people. Like you got to tell other people why it is they should be listening to you. You got to tell them like, yo, this is the best podcast ever. You're going to get the most information out of this podcast. Like he's always told me like, bro, like you're as much as you don't like being a salesman for vehicles, like you're kind of doing the same thing. You're going into the same like avenue with the podcast. Yeah. And I never saw it that way. And once I heard that, I was like, well, I was fucking terrible at selling cars, so how the fuck am I gonna sell this?
Yeah, man. And like you should definitely see it as like a journey, almost like a game. You know what I mean? Because like it's like I don't know, like once you figure out like what like works, it's like it can get really addictive, and you're like, oh, like this is cool. And then like, you know, you bring like really interesting guests on and stuff like that. Which I really did like the podcast with Dr. Linda Parra. I don't know if I'm allowed to say Dr. Linda Parra.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, she'll like that as well. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, like, I definitely think I love what you're doing here, dude. I think it's fucking cool. I mean, for the most part, I think you're the only one that I know of that's really has a real podcast. I mean,
thank you. I appreciate it.
In Yuma, so
I'm not good at taking compliments, but I appreciate that.
I know, isn't that weird? Like
I get like hot, like I'm like, okay, like next.
Yeah, it's like when it's funny because like even with me, like when I have like clients in the chair or whatever, and like I had a client today, they were like, "Damn, this shit's so fire, bro," and I was just like, "Okay."
Yeah, like you don't. Yeah,
I'm like, "Yay, hooray!" Like,
but so I don't know if you have this. Yeah, but it's like. For me, like
no, okay. So like, I don't want to make it sound like I don't take pride in my work because I do, but I think I just like think about things a different way, and like I don't think that like if you're not a celebratory person, I don't think that makes you not like the thing or like the compliment less. I just think people react to it differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it is. But like for me, like whenever people say something good about the podcast, it's like, thank you. But at the same time, like something like as much as I want to hear that, like I want someone to tell me like, hey, what you're doing is a good job. Like I want to hear that. Like that makes me feel good. But when I hear it right away, I'm like, oh, they're just being nice. You know, same thing when I go do a stand.
Do you ever so I don't necessarily feel like that per se, but do you ever feel like, because people see shiny, cool new things, and like they're like, oh, he's got a podcast, and like they just compliment you, and then like, because I get this sometimes where they're like, dude, I love your content, and then I'm like, but like knowing what I know now, I'm like, dude, it could get a lot better. Like this is where I can go. And I'm like, dude, like, do you ever feel like that sometimes where you're like, it's good, but which it is good, it's a good podcast, but like, do you ever feel like that? Like you just have like your own like war in your head where you're like, fuck, like I want to take the compliment, but I'm like, you know,
dude, 100%. Like, so for me, it's like when people tell me like, you know, you're doing a good job. Like, I love the podcast and stuff. Like, I'm like, thank you. But like you said, I have like my own little demons in myself telling myself like, you can be doing better though. Mm-hmm. Like, especially like, I mean, I don't know how it works for you. Like, especially like, you know, I would imagine you count your success based off your clients, and I don't know if you do like social media. I mean, I know you do social media, but I don't know if you base it off like likes and views and stuff. But for me, it's like, as people tell me like, this is a dope podcast, like I like it, it's like I just assume that they only like it because they like it doesn't mean everyone else does. It doesn't mean like, oh, so if you like it, that means everyone else has to like it.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I get views and stuff and they're not what I expect, then I'm like, okay, so there's something I'm doing wrong. So when people tell me like, bro, this is a dope podcast, like I like it, like what you're doing is like good, like I love hearing this. What I based it off of is, which I probably shouldn't, is the views and the likes and the comments and stuff. And so when I don't see that number go up, when people tell me, you know, you're doing a good job, I see the opposite, and I'm like, okay, like thank you for saying that. But in my head, I'm thinking like, I'm not doing enough though.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my
you
problem.
should welcome that though. I think like, you know, like I think a lot of people think that like, you know, especially in this day and age, I think people are afraid of this like, oh, I'm not good enough, and I'm not. They're afraid of that little voice telling them that they're not good enough. But I feel like if you switch the mindset of like, okay, I'm not good enough, how can I get better? You know what I mean? And like you should welcome that, like almost like this like uncomfortable feeling of like, okay, that didn't work, so let me figure out what does work, and I get to learn how to figure out what does work. You know what I mean? And like, so I personally think you should welcome that feeling. I mean, like it's like it's. I think a lot of people try to like think that like, oh, like this is my thing and like people should like it, and I'm like, yes, but like understand that sometimes there's a market for everything, and like I think that you should welcome the feeling of desire of like it's almost like once you kind of switch it around, like oh, like it kind of lights a fire in you, dude. Like you're like, you know what I mean? Like, does that make sense?
Well, yeah, like, and I'm all about that. Like, honestly, my thing is I love constructive criticism.
Mm-hmm.
So I love what.
Oh, I wasn't constructively criticizing you. I personally,
No.
I personally like I personally like the podcast. That's just me though.
Well, no,
but
I
I'm just saying, like
that.
in general, like when I see my content, like when I see my content, like do like dog shit thing, and I base it off of like conversions and like what brings clients in. And
so you don't base it off just likes and comments and views. You base it off physical.
So views are just an indicator of like how much reach you had for that video, right?
That's a good idea. I
and
never thought about it like
when
that.
you have, you know, so I don't really know how it would convert for like income for you, which it could if you like, you know, learned like, you know, like the biggest tips and tricks by like, you know, some other like really good podcasters or YouTubers or whatever. But I base it off of like, okay, like to me in my head, it's the more views you have, it's like if you do a video that does like, you know, 10K, 20K, 30K or whatever, that's like you passing out a business card to 30,000 people. You know what I mean? And so out of those 30,000 people, you're going to get some conversions, right? Conversion is when a client decides to buy something from you, right? That makes them want to click. It makes them want to tap on your website, and it makes them want to book an appointment with you or whatever it is, right? Whatever business, it can be whatever business. And so like, likes like it's good, but it's not like an indicator of like, because I mean there's businesses that have like thousands and, you know, thousands and upon millions of likes on their business page, but there's no conversions. You know what I mean? So that that's usually an indicator of like it's either the product is not good, like the way they showcase their product is making people not want to buy. You know what I mean? And so that's actually excellent feedback for you to be like, okay, maybe my product sucks and I just need to get better. You know what I mean? And so like that's the way I see myself. I'm like, dude, like, you know, it's such a fun game to play. Sometimes it's like, oh, okay, it's almost like playing like checkers or chess or whatever. I don't even know how to play chess, but
I know. I know.
You know.
But you know, yeah.
So like, yeah. I think likes just kind of, you know, like kind of the algorithm's a tricky thing on Instagram. It's like
And it changes like every like 6 months or some shit.
You know, this is crazy, but I figured out that the algorithm is just people. It's not there's not this like AI algorithm that's like saying like that video is great, let's bump him up to 1 million views. You know what I mean? That doesn't happen. It's just all the algorithm is just like it's just people that are wanting to engage in your content and making it fun to watch. And then like, it's like, I guess like, you know, once people, you know, are starting to like and see and they're like, oh my god, like this is fun to watch. So like they send it to other people and then they send it to other people and then like, you know, so the algorithm, like a lot of people want to say like, oh, the algorithm's hard, the algorithm's not fair, it's whatever. It's just the algorithm's just people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when people like, I did a video that like sucks so hard the other day, and like I was so upset, and I was like, I just need to get better, you know what I mean? So like it's just like for me, it's just like it's just this little fun game that I play with myself. I'm like, how far can I push this if I really want to push this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well, and actually, the whole algorithm thing. So if you guys don't know, George is always posting videos of like his cuts and stuff, and so I've always wondered though, like, have you ever had this problem? Like, I have this issue where. Say you post something, you've done all this work in editing and all this stuff, and you know it's a great cut or whatever, and or for me a great episode, great, I do little snippets and stuff on Instagram,
right.
and I'm like after I'm done, I'm like, damn, this is funny, like this is really good, or like for you, this is a good edit, it's good cuts and everything, and so all that work, and then you get like very minimal likes or very minimal views. Do you ever like, and that's kind of tough because do you ever feel like, well, maybe I should change it up? Or in your head, are you thinking like, no, I like this. Like, this is what I like. This is what I think works. Just because it didn't get a lot of views, maybe it didn't get the reach it should. But like, do you think at that point, do you feel like you should change something up? Or do you just kind of be like, okay, well, maybe like I should just do this again and again and again until it reaches the audience it should? Because sometimes, like I said, like I post episodes and sometimes like the episodes I post, and I totally love when I get like a lot of views and stuff for like certain guests and stuff.
It always feels good. You know what I mean?
But there's certain guests I have on, and obviously I'm here live and I do the podcast and stuff. And as I'm watching and listening, in my head I'm thinking like, this is a good episode. Like this is really gonna do it. But it doesn't get a lot of views, doesn't get a lot of likes. And in my head I'm thinking like, bro, like why didn't you like it? Like this was so good. Like what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like in your head, do you start thinking like, okay, well, should I change it up for the viewers, or do you just keep rolling with what you're doing because you like it as the producer? I would say.
Well, so like I would definitely say that, like you would want to post content that is amusing to you, and you always obviously want to have like, because you can't do what Joe Rogan does, and you shouldn't want to do what Joe Rogan, because there's only one Joe Rogan.
Of course.
But
and I strongly believe that. Yeah.
There's also only one Jordan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you obviously have to add your own flavor to things. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that like a lot of people need to realize that like sometimes when videos do bad or something on Instagram or whatever, it's just feedback for you to be like, oh, okay, like maybe I should bring this guest in, or that, or the way I'm thinking about it is like the way like my videos, it's like, okay, it only got this much reach, so like maybe I should change some things up, you know what I mean, and like maybe edit something a different way or whatever. And so like I think that like I'm totally blanking out, dude. The second IPA is like kicking my ass, dude.
I'm telling you, those things will hit you.
Yeah.
No, for me though, it's like going back to the whole thing about Joe Rogan. Is,
I'm sorry.
No, is like for me, what bugs me the most is like I've met people and I tell them like, hey, like I have a podcast and stuff, and they're like,
sometimes it just takes time, dude. Too like it just like it really honestly does take time to like develop, and like this is where your skills like I like to call them like soft skills come in, like learning how to market, learning how to sell, learning how to captivate audiences. Is like, you know, it's kind of like you're pulling the strings of like, okay, like and for a lot of stuff is like, for a lot of accounts or any business for that matter, like when you're figuring out that like over a long period of time that something is not working, something has to change, you know what I mean? And you're either going to go this way or you're going to go that way. And so like you should obviously choose the avenue of like, okay, like how can we get this thing better, you know what I mean? And so like that's the way I look at my stuff. I'm like, okay, like what can I improve, and like, and I just make it fun. You know what I mean? Because like it's just like I think that you. I'm gonna get so corny here, but I think you should just play the game to win, and don't play the game to not lose. Because a lot of people play the game not to lose, when it's not fun that way. It's fun when you play the game to win, because it's like everything's behind you now. You're like, okay, I fucked that up, so like I'm gonna just have fun doing this shit. You know what I mean? And so that's why sometimes I do like dumb shit in my videos, where like, I don't know if you know Ian Miranda,
No.
but he's the one that I asked to collaborate in my video, and he was like, "Hey, wait."
No, I
It
didn't
was
see
just
it.
like
No.
stupid shit. You know what I mean? It's
Uh-huh.
just like, okay, well, like this worked and that didn't work, and this brought me clients, and whatever. And so like that's just, I don't know, man. It's just,
But like in your business, cutting hair as a barber, like at some point, like where do you feel like you have to, um, where do you feel like you have to like what do you feel like you have to show more, or like what different angles do you have to do? Like what is it that you have to show to bring more clients to you? Like because at some point, like I assume as a barber, it's like if you have a clean fade and you can do these type of different styles and everyone sees that they see like you can work on African American hair, because I know that's like hard to work with, people that have like dark hair, people that have light hair, people that have this, people that have that. Like at what point do you feel like, well, this is like you don't have a target audience, your audience is people that want to get haircuts.
mm-hmm.
So like what is it that you're putting in on your Instagram that is bringing in more clientele? Like is it just clean
Yeah.
haircuts,
Well,
or is it
I
like
mean, like I think it's just like showcasing a good product, and like it's just like with any business, it's like
but what separates you from another barber?
um, I mean like um
Is that something tough? Are you still trying to figure that
it's
out?
kind of like it's like wishy-washy, dude, because it's like, well, like what separates you from Joe Rogan?
Well,
I mean,
and see, that's for me.
well, like if you remove yourself from the situation, you're like, okay, nothing really, because he's just another human. You know what I mean? He's just done more episodes and
has more access to
yeah,
higher
and
clientele. Yeah.
or maybe just like he's had access to people that are really cool or whatever, and you could totally do that for yourself too. And so that's like the fun part of like learning like how what works and what doesn't work, and like obviously like like you want to have a good product, you know what I mean? Because like in any business, it's like you want to be able to sell like a good product at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like I don't like this, like I've kind of switched my mind around to this thing where it's like, oh, I want to work, like I used to think like this, like I want to work really hard so one day I don't have to, and it's like that doesn't really exist. It's like you
Yeah.
just either get really good and addicted to the work, or you just stay mediocre. And it's like it's just like a false thing where it's like you should be like, this should be fun, you know what I mean? Like it should be fun figuring out like what buttons to push does what, and you're like, oh, this works, you know what I mean? And it's like that's like the fun part about it, is like learning what works and what doesn't work. And like I don't know, man. That's how I view things. It's like I think people need to. It's not about like working more or grinding harder. I can't fucking stand when people say that shit, dude. Like,
Grinding.
yeah, I'm on my grind. You know,
Yeah.
like what? What are you grinding towards?
That's such a good point. Yeah.
I don't
hear that
know.
all
I'm
the
just
time.
on my grind. I'm like, what?
Yeah, and I think people assume like the grind is like waking up early, like working all the time, like always
Yeah.
posting
Mhm.
content or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know
There's got to
what
be
their
intent. There's got to be
grind is.
yeah. Okay. So like I switch my language around, right? Because I think the language that you use is very important. So like I try not to talk negatively about myself or to myself. I'm like I try to constructively criticize myself. I'm like, okay, like this sucks. You can get better because you are better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I'm not like oh, like doom and gloom, you know what I mean? But like to me, like the grind is like it's more of like this like I like to use the language of like instead of grinding, because I read this book called Winning by Tim Grover, and it's like it's this thing where like he explains in the book where grinding, what happens after you grind something for so long, it turns into dust and it's nothing. But if you learn how to sculpt, like I use like when people say I'm on my grind, I say I'm on my sculpt. You know what I mean? Like I'm like sculpting
Oh, that's
shit.
good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like because
yeah.
like we're removing. I don't know what the fuck just happened there. Like no, but like we're removing.
Your robot inside you just malfunctioned.
Are you a robot? Click all these squares that have a traffic sign.
Are you? Yeah. Click all the pictures of the horse.
Yeah.
I get you. Yeah. The captcha. It's the captcha.
Oh my god! And then they try to trick you too, where it's like a corner or you can't tell if it's like a traffic sign or not. You're just like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
should I or should I not? Am I a robot?
I know there has to be an easier thing. I fail those the first time every time. I always have to redo them.
No, but back to the sculpting thing. It's like I think that like looking at things of like you know, just like good habits are like things that are, you know, that are gonna lead you to sculpting, which is like, you know, when a sculptor sculpts something, they're removing excess stuff to build this like great structure, right? Or this great, you know, Greek figure, whatever the fuck it is, right?
Yeah.
And so like to me, when you remove stuff out of your life, it's you're removing all the distractions, and you're removing all like the things that are taking you away from like building a business or building a great podcast or, you know, whatever the fuck you want to do in your life. Like it's just like learning how to sculpt. It's just like it's learning the art of like, you know, subtraction. Like it's not how much more can I do, it's more of like what can I take out of my life that is not serving me, you know what I mean? And so like that's how I look at like things,
like scraping away the fat. Like the things that are like
liposuction.
Your liposuction.
I'm about to go to San Luis right now and just get some fucking
fuck San Luis, dog. We talked about that. Fuck next.
I know
That's terrible, actually.
No, don't fuck. Like, well,
I get all my medicine from there.
I mean, I just like I hate like going to Mexico, bro. That's like that's our little like, you know, thing where we were last time he was in the chair. We were talking about how much we hate going to Mexico, and we're like, you know, because like things are cheaper, you know, you go to the fucking dentist or whatever, but it's like you spend almost the same amount of fucking money in gas, or you waste so much time. It's like, bro, I just
waiting in line to get back. Yeah, especially if you don't have the Sentry. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not part of that. I
yeah, well, even the Sentry, bro, is fucking like long as shit still, bro. I'm like,
dude, there's
holy
times
shit.
there's been times that I come back from Mex and like the Sentry line's longer than the original line. It's like, the fuck?
I know.
Makes no sense. How is that the fast pass?
I know. Holy shit, bro. Oh my god, dude. And then like you always get like I'm not gonna say that.
You can say it, I'll bleep it out.
No, I just hate like being in the line, dude. I just fucking hate being like it's just such a fucking. And then like every time that I've ever been in a line, like somebody's AC fucking goes out, or like, you know, there's some fucking and then San Luis is like I heard San Luis is getting crazy right now too, dude, man, with the whole fucking like they're warring with like other rival gangs and cartels and shit like that. And
Oh,
like,
dude, something's always happening. Like,
but it never used to be like that though. I remember when I used to
I don't
baseball down in San Luis, and like it was just like, you know, I would take a taxi to, you know, the line or from the border to, you know, the stadium when I was playing at, and then oh fuck, excuse me,
it'll get you.
Yeah, it does get you. And then I'd come back, and then it's like no fucking questions asked. It's like it's just, you know, peaceful city, town, or whatever, you know. And then like now all of a sudden it's like there's all these shootouts and all this shit, and I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, dude, like You know, I don't know if like I know it's like it's not. You know, this is like I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but like I don't think like cartels are out to, you know, kill innocent civilians, but sometimes people get caught in the crossfire.
Exactly.
And it's like,
yeah, and that's what
I don't
want
to play that game. You know what I mean? It's like, fuck that, dude.
Yeah, you just don't even want to put yourself in that position.
This is fucking America, baby.
America,
motherfucker. Second Amendment.
No, dude. Honestly, Mex has always been like a thing that we would go to. We would like I said, we'd go for dental or just to go have fun and stuff. But as I got older, I just realized like it was kind of it's always been like a sketchy place. But I don't know, because I think that things that go on in San Luis and like Mexicali and stuff, like, yeah, it looks bad on TV, like people post stuff and stuff, but sometimes you go and you're like, it's actually not that bad. So it's
it really
very,
isn't.
like you said, wishy-washy.
I mean,
It's
dude, like shit happens all the time in Yuma. I mean, like I'm not saying that's like the biggest like, you know, factor as to why I don't go as much. It's just like the biggest thing for me is the fucking line, bro. I'm like, Jesus Christ, bro, it fucking takes forever to get back. I mean, but like to say that like, I mean, I think like to say that Yuma or San Luis or wherever is safer or more dangerous is kind of subjective, because it's like, I mean, if you're in a bad neighborhood, you're in a bad neighborhood. It doesn't matter if you're in fucking Phoenix or New York or
exactly.
You know, I mean, like I got shot at in fucking the foothills.
What the fuck?
I didn't tell you about this?
No, Foothills is nice. I used to live in the Foothills.
Yeah, dude. I never told you about this?
No, I never heard about this.
Oh my God. So would this be a good time?
This would be a perfect time.
Okay. So, about it like almost 2 months ago, a couple months ago, like, yeah, 2 months ago, we were getting ready to go to a friend's house because they invited us over for dinner, and like
it wasn't at our house, right?
No.
Okay, cool.
You would have known about it.
Yeah.
No, because there was gonna be like a surprise, like I won't name names, so you know there was gonna be like a surprise, like pregnancy, kind of like celebration, or no. I can't even talk right now. What
is it like? Is like the when it's like a boy or a girl?
No. Like they were gonna announce that they're gonna have a child.
Oh, okay.
And so, you know, we were gonna go over there and just gonna go and, you know, have a good time, have dinner with them, and which, by the way, the fucking food was amazing because his wife is Cuban and she makes this dish called picadillo, and it's fucking insane good, dude. It's delicious.
Worth a shootout.
But so we're driving, and as we're turning, like, you know, this is in the foothills. It's like right before you get to the mountains to go to Phoenix, like on your way to Phoenix, and we turned left onto their street, heading eastbound this way, and fucking like me, Tara's in the driver's seat. And for those who don't know, Tara's my wife, and
shout out Tara.
Yeah.
Tara Photography, go get your photos taken.
A ride or die, literally.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, and so fucking I like look to my left. I just happened to look to my left as we're like turning on their street. My friend's house is like more down the road, and like as we're turning left on their street, I like noticed a silhouette like on the left hand side, about like anywhere between like 20 to 30 meters away. What the fuck is that? And it's a guy doing this, and I'm like, what the fuck? He has a gun in his hand. And I told Tara, I was like, yo, get your fucking head down. And then I hear bah, bah, bah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Totally random. Didn't even know this guy. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I told Tara, I was like, yo, fucking step on it. Fucking go, drive. And then we call the sheriffs. We ended up driving like past his house and past the street. And
so you guys were in like a neighborhood?
Yeah, we were in a neighborhood, my bad. And we turned right, and we called the sheriffs. And we're like, yo, we were fucking shot at, this and that. Like, it took us a while for us to come to, because it was like, yo, we just got shot at. Was that like a prank, or was that like a real gun? It's like this, that doesn't happen every day. And it
yeah, nowadays, yeah, you gotta imagine, like, is that like was that a prank? Was that a video, or like was that real? Yeah.
And the sheriff comes and he's like, or the sheriff deputies come and he's like, okay, like, you know, he's getting all our information. He's like, yo, like, okay, so what's his name? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, what do you mean you don't know? He just shot at you. You don't know his name? Because he was thinking that like that we might have gotten into an altercation and he was like shooting at us, like just, you know, because we know each other and we got into an altercation.
Oh shit. Okay.
And I was like, I don't know this. I'm telling you, like, I know just as much as you do, bro. Like, we literally turned left onto a street to go to our friend's house, and then fucking out of the blue, someone just fucking goes, bah, 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 bah. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. And
was there like a car behind you or like a person or something like that they might have been targeting or
no.
It's just a random shooting at you?
Yeah. So we'll get to that. So, they, you know, long story short, they beanbagged this guy. They fucking take him in, and
they caught him.
Yeah, they caught him.
Okay.
And what ended up happening is you know, he gets processed, he goes to jail, whatever the fuck it is, and he tells the DA or whoever, like they're questioning him, and he like legit says like, yeah, like I just wanted to kill somebody, and they were the first people that happened.
Oh my god, you guys were just targeted off the street. Holy shit. And you know what? That's so scary to hear, because I've always heard about like especially like here in town in Yuma is like
but it doesn't happen though, dude.
No,
like,
exactly.
Like
but
it's just like, and that's what I was saying, like the whole San Luis thing is like caught in the crossfire. It's like, whoa, that doesn't happen in Yuma, and then like it happens to us.
Yeah.
And then, you know what the funniest thing is like I you know, I carry, if you want to say that, right? And like we weren't really going anywhere besides my friend's house, and like I looked at my pistol on our dresser, and the whole, like, the irony of it all is just funny, because I looked at my pistol before we went to my friend's house, and I was like, should I take my pistol? Nah, I'm just going to my friend's house anyway. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're so if you guys don't know, if you guys go to the foothills, like it's not a scary place. Like
it wasn't even a bad neighborhood either. But
exactly.
But what ended up happening is that the guy inherited the house from his dad that passed away, but he had happened to be like, I think he was an ex-con and he was fucked up or whatever the fuck, and like it was just this weird combination of, it's like the planets aligned, and it's just like we were just there, and it just like, and the crazy part about it is that like he was to my 10 o'clock and we passed him as he was shooting us. Didn't hit us one time, but he hit my friend's house, and he missed us completely as we were passing him, which is even crazier to think of in that aspect, because like if we're passing him and he's still shooting, that means he's pursuing us still, and he's still trying to shoot us.
You're the target.
He's still trying to shoot us. And I was like, and he told, like I said, like when I heard that, you know, the DA said, or whoever the fuck said, you know, oh, like his statement was that like he was just trying to kill somebody, and like we just happened to be the first people to drive down the street. And I was like, what the fuck? And that was really hard for me to chew on for like a couple of weeks, dude. It was like it took me a while to get back into like the groove of things, because it was like this like weird thing that happened, and I was like, okay, let's go back to normal life. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like I was just like, I could have died, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if one of those rounds hit either me or Tara, like in any way, like it just would have completely changed the shape of the story, and it just like would have like I don't know, man, it just would have been so fucking insane. And like it's just something that doesn't happen, and the fact that it's just like such a random thing that happened, it's like that's literally like a 1 in a million thing, and it was just like, what the fuck?
Well, yeah, like I was saying, like I've heard like where you know, there's like people get hit by stray bullets, you know. And so in that sense, like obviously, like, you know, you were targeted. Like the guy, you know, the guy just wanted to shoot at anybody. He just wanted to kill someone, whatever. But like that's so scary, because I can only imagine after that, anytime you're driving down the road and you see anyone walking down the sidewalk, you automatically assume they want to shoot you. Like you kind of have like PTSD from it.
Well, that's funny you say that, because about a week later we ended up.
You got shot at again?
No.
Bruh, stop driving. Go home. Get out of here. You're gonna get shot.
Just work from home.
Bro, people are gonna come shoot up the studio because of you.
No.
You're gonna find out George is here. We recorded this episode back in June, so he's not here no longer.
No, so we went to Walmart like a week and a half or so after, and like I was looking everywhere, dude. Like I was like on my guard, and like I made sure I
Makes sense.
Was carrying or whatever. And we parked in like, because you know how Walmart has like, those parking lots that are like slanted. They're not like, you don't just like turn right in.
Yeah, they're angled.
Yeah, they're angled. And
Well,
so,
it's based like that, so that way it's like if you go, you have to go a certain way into the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go one way, you have to park that way, and if you go the opposite way, then you have to park like that way. Yeah, they're all.
And so we parked and we were getting ready to go inside the store, but like for some reason, like the way I don't like the way those parking angles are, because like now knowing what I know now is like it's just like easier for people to hide, and like if they want to jack you or rob you or whatever, like it just presents a different like avenue of opportunity for people that are wanting to do like harm to others.
Yeah.
And like these guys snuck up on us like as we were going to Walmart, and out of nowhere, there were these guys that were like, totally cool guys, but they were just asking us if we wanted to go to their church, and like they were just promoting their church and passing out flyers. But I turned around and I was like, oh fuck, dude, like, and they're like, hey, do you want to go to church with us? And I was like, fuck, like, and then I like wanted to tell them, I was like, dude, like, do not sneak up on me, you know what I mean? But like it was just this thing where like these guys like came in, like, and one was wearing a hoodie, and I was like, oh fuck, not that wearing a hoodie is anything to indicate that you're up to criminal activity, which you probably are, but no, I'm just kidding.
But it just doesn't look good.
Yeah,
It's not
and then like he's
look,
like,
when you approach someone.
Here's my flyer, and then it's just like, so for like weeks I was just like what was that, and like I would just like look around, and like now I'm like I'm a little more calmed down, but like it was just like such a surreal thing to like go through, and then now like to see the after effects of like that really threw me off the rails of what I was trying to do with like content and like business and stuff like that, because I literally had to like sit down, and I had like another, like I had an awakening in that moment, because so not only did I have this like mindset of like being more aware, but I also had this awakening of like, okay, like I could have died that day, and then like would I have been happy with what I have accomplished in my life? And it was just this weird paradigm of like
if it would have ended there, then like,
and this is why I go back to the whole like play to win, don't play to lose, don't play to not lose, or don't play because you're afraid of losing. Play to win, because you literally never know when the fuck your day could be. It could be, you never know when you could fucking die, or when your life is going to end, because that could have very well, I mean, I saw the whites of his eyeballs, like he could have easily hit any of us, and he actually hit my friend's house, which is the weirdest thing. So yeah, it was,
and they're okay.
Yeah, everyone's okay. No one was hurt, seriously. But like that was just like a big like thing for me to like, I had to chew on that for a couple weeks and be like, okay, like I'm alive, and make sure that this isn't the fucking Matrix or some shit. You know what I mean?
Well, you're on a podcast now, so maybe this is.
Yeah, maybe it is a Matrix.
This is like, you ever see those movies where like what is it, Sixth Sense, when they die but they don't realize they're dead, they just keep continuing through life.
No,
you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. Well, spoiler alert. This movie's been out for a long time, but in the Sixth Sense, this guy is a therapist, and he's a therapist for this little kid that keeps talking about, he sees dead people, and as he sees these dead people.
Oh, that's the one that like everybody kind of makes fun of, but like I loosely know about that movie.
You have to watch. It's a lot of people make fun of it. They even made like, in Scary Movie, like the parodies, they make fun of it and stuff. But it's actually a good point, because it's like sometimes I don't know, I would assume you don't understand that you're in the afterlife. That's why like there's ghosts and shit, if there is ghosts.
Do you believe in the afterlife?
Like as far as what?
Like, where do you like when this?
Like, do you think when I die, I'm gonna haunt something,
what,
or
do
am
you
I gonna go to
what do you
heaven?
think? What do you think happens after you die?
Oh man, I think it's not so much that I know what's gonna happen to me. I think I want to believe that when I die, when I pass away, when I leave this earth, that I go to a better place. I don't want to believe that once I die, that my brain is no longer active. Like it just goes black, done. I'm no
Isn't that
longer.
such a weird like thing? Like where you have this, like because when a person dies, like say like if you Jordan were to just like fucking, you were to fall over and just fucking you're gone. Like and your body, as I know, is Jordan
Physically.
is physically still there. But then like the animation of your character, like where does that go? Because you're still Jordan wearing, Jordan 1s and a legend shirt. And as I was conversing with you, but like, where does the life of your body go? That's like, I don't know, man. That's like the fucking weirdest thing to think about. Like,
I don't know, and that's the thing too is like I don't know. By saying this, it makes me sound like, oh well, you don't believe in God. Like, of course, I want to believe that once I pass away from this earth, my spirit goes to heaven to a better life, as they all they make it seem like like I feel like if that was the case, like, and I hate even saying like if heaven because I I believe in God. I pray at like the worst times. I don't go to church a lot, but like when I was in high school and I had like a sex like when I had like a baby scare, that was my first thing I did every night until I find out she got her period. Every night until I found out she got her period, I was in bed praying like, I swear to God, this is me. I swear to God, this is me saying this. Like I'd be in bed like, God, thank you for my life. Thank you for everything you give me. All I ask is this one thing is that, she gets her period. I want to have kids, but at this time I'm not ready. I'm not the person that needs to have kids. So like I have these things where like I want to believe that there is a God, and I treat things like there is a God, and I believe in God. I want to believe in God, and this may be like something that a lot of people don't want to hear, but it's something that I want to believe in, but it still scares me in a way because I just feel like when I pass away, me living right now in this moment, I don't know where I go.
I think it's hard to say where, like, I don't know. I don't even think anybody has definitive proof of like where, because if we did, it's like, you could talk to. It's like if someone dies and they would just contact you and be like, hey, I'm over here. You know what I mean? Like, there's proof of me being in heaven or wherever the fuck.
But for some people, that could be ghost encounters. Like when people get like,
you think ghost encounters are real?
Once again, like we talked before we started, I don't know if they're real, but I want to believe they're real.
Yeah, can I be honest?
Something
I don't think ghosts are real at all.
Really?
I don't. I don't know, man. Like, I think that like, so, from some of the things that I learned in the military is that when you're sleep deprived or when you are expecting something, you are very alert, right?
Okay.
And you start to, especially when you're sleep deprived, you start to hallucinate things, right? And so sometimes I wonder if people that are seeing things, quote unquote, are either sleep deprived, schizophrenic, or something. Because like I think I'm more alert when like, I go to Walmart now or whatever. But like when I mean, obviously, like when you're alone by yourself in the woods, I think you're obviously more alert, or you're expecting something. But when you're expecting something, you're bound to find something though. So like I think people are just they're like seeing a gust of wind push the blind and they're like, that's a ghost, and then they're like, ghosts are real, you know what I mean? Well, maybe it just was like a gust of wind or whatever, you know what I mean? So like I don't know, man. I don't think I believe in ghosts.
So in a way for me, I'm the type of person where like if say we're at at home, we're in the living room, and
It's definitely scary though. Like it's like
it
holy
is
fuck, what
the
is that?
the idea, yeah. Especially when there's like, especially like for me, like every time, like say it, like I was saying, like if I'm in the living room and in the kitchen, I hear like a glass clink, or I hear, a door,
Will
like
the dog start barking at nothing? You're
yeah,
like, what the fuck?
then automatically in
La
my head,
Llorona.
yeah, exactly. Or I start thinking like, okay, what? But like my first thought isn't like, oh, it's a ghost or anything. But I don't know if it's me not wanting to scare myself, because sometimes I do that where like I'll hear like it sounds like a door closed, but in my head I'm like, no. If you start thinking that a ghost is in your house and the ghost closed your door, then now you enter it into your world. So in my head, like if I hear something, or like for instance, like if the dogs start barking at the wall, I'm just like, it's probably a bug.
Yeah,
There's
it's
probably
like-
like a fly.
it's
Like
like
I
one of those
always
things-
have an explanation for something,
Yeah.
because I don't want to believe that is the thing. But
it's like it's like once you start to expect shit, like and you're gonna find shit that you don't want to. Like if you're like subliminally, like if you're looking for shit, like you're gonna find it. And
Yeah.
so like it's like everything is a nail to a hammer. You know
well,
what
it's
I mean?
it's just like with like these ghost hunters. Like people go into abandoned places, and when it's dead silent and you're the only one in there and you have a video camera and you're recording stuff, of course, like you said, if you're looking for something, you're going to find something. So if you're in that abandoned building where it's supposedly only supposed to be you, if you're recording stuff, you start hearing clinking or you start hearing voices or something, you automatically are like, it has to be a ghost. Because like you said, if you're looking for it, it's going to find you.
Yeah.
So in that case, like I said, when I'm at home and I hear these things, I don't want to look for it,
Yeah.
because I don't want to find out that that's what it is. So I hate, like, my girl, she is all about that. She's like, if she hears something in the distance in our house when we're watching a movie, she's like, "Do you hear that?" I'll be like, "It was probably the dogs, or it was probably this." Like, I always try to think of a real way what it could be. Like, just like you never like wash dishes and stacked them a certain way, and they look
And
like they're
they-
gonna fall, and
yeah.
then in time they do kind of like budge and they fall.
They become
like,
unbalanced.
It
and
just
stuff like-
happens,
yeah.
And so like I always, anytime I hear something like that, I'm always like, that's what it could have been. Like, that's all it is, But she's all about like, no, like, and in my head I'm thinking like, well, now you're making it scary.
Yeah.
Now that you're saying like, no, that's not what it is, it should be something else. It's like, well, then what do you think it could be? Now you're bringing in those negative spirits or those negative feelings or whatever. So I always assume that if I just say like, oh, well, that's the door closed because there was a gust of wind, or the dogs are barking at the wall because there's probably like a fly we can't see or a bug or something. I just like assume the natural.
Well, back to the whole like sleep deprived thing, like they say that like in the military, if you're scanning for any targets out in the field or whatever, and you're sleep deprived, like you will start to see things that aren't there because like
Oh, I had that recently.
you know what I mean. And so like
I'll tell you.
it's like, well, and I've had this happen to where like I've been up for like 2 days straight or whatever, in the military, and like I would look at shit at night and I'm like, is that like somebody moving over there? And it's like, it's just like it's like a bush or something, and then like fuck, man, that looks like a person, dude.
Yeah.
And then like I think it's just your mind playing tricks on you because you're either sleep deprived, you could be schizophrenic, or you just want to see something, so you're just looking for something and you're gonna find something, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And so like recently I've had that. Me and Saito, we were heading back from my parents' house, and they live from the road from my parents' house back to our place, it was like a back road, middle of nowhere, like fields and shit everywhere. And
Counties, baby.
yeah, the counties, yeah. And so
With your Cherokee or what?
huh?
You're a Cherokee?
No, I don't have that.
Wasn't that kind of county?
No, not that kind of county. But so we're driving. So no, we're driving, and like I'm also under the influence. I'm a little high. I've been drinking a few, so she's driving, and I'm sitting back, and as we're driving down the road, like obviously the lights only go so far. It's late at night.
Mm-hmm.
In the distance, I see like a figure, and sometimes I see like a shadow of something or like an outline of something, and I'm like, oh, I was just tripping. This time, dude, like 2 days ago, I look at this thing and I'm seeing it, and I'm like, and like I'm sitting back and I'm like, what the fuck? And I didn't. And I'm not the type of person like when someone's driving, I don't like to be like, oh my god, watch out, because I hate when people do that to me.
I can't stand that
I
shit either.
hate when someone's like, oh my god, watch out, and I'm like, what is it? And they're like,
Yeah.
this car was coming, and they're like a mile down. My girl
Yeah,
does it
like,
all the time.
dude,
My girl
Jared
does it
that
all the
shit
time.
bro.
She's like, oh my god, this
you
car.
could hit that person, and that person's like fucking like 15 streets down. And I'm like, what?
You're like, yeah. I'm like, I saw them, but like they were nowhere near me.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to do that. So I'm sitting back and I see something and I sit up and I'm like, what? And in my head, I'm just like, what the fuck is that? And I swear to you, I see a dog, and I see it's a dog with like spots on it, like stripes or something. And I'm like, what the fuck? And it's sitting in the middle of the road. And as we get closer, as the light starts to shine on that part of the road, that figure sitting in the road of that dog or whatever just kind of goes away. Like I'm blinking my eyes a lot. Like that's what I do. Is like when I'm like kind of out of it, I'm like blinking a lot. Like maybe my contacts or something are fucked up. And so I'm blinking a lot and I'm like, what the fuck? And we drive right past it. And and at that point I tell Sada, I was like, did you see that coyote or something like in the road? And she was like, there was nothing in the road. And for the first time ever, I was just like, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I'm tripping. Like, and at that point I was like, did I see like a ghost, or did I see like a creature or something in the road? And at that point, that's when I was like, maybe that's the moment that I'm supposed to be like, I believe in this stuff now. Because for me, I don't believe in it because I always have a real idea of what that could possibly be. I'm always thinking like, well, that's, I was doing this or that, or it was a coyote that ran across the road and I just missed it, or whatever it could be. I always think of something that could realistically happen. And for the first time I was like, I don't know why I thought I saw that. And so, but in that point I was like I don't want to start thinking that way, because then I'm like, okay, now I'm letting that enter my mindset of that could possibly be a thing.
And then everything seems like,
and at that point, now like
you'll be scared of your own shadow, dude. It's like,
exactly.
It's like, it's this thing where it's like, well, when you it's not like you're inviting spirits, or that's not what I'm trying to say, but like when you invite that feeling of like, when you're always like on the look for something, you're gonna find something. You know what I mean? Because now you're always on the look for something.
Exactly.
So you'll find it. You know what I mean?
But I do like I said, I for me, like playing out flat, like I don't believe in that stuff, but I'm very, if it was to become a real thing, I'd be all about it. I'm not gonna be like one of those like, no, that's not real. Like if I experience, like for me though, if I saw, this beer can right here get picked up and thrown across the room, that's all the proof I need.
You see the
like at that point, like would you think like, oh, okay, well someone has a string, something like, no, I
think I'm so hard headed, dude, that I'd be like, no, it's because quantum physics and this and that.
It's because the AC kicked on.
Yeah. It's the wind, bro. It's always the wind.
No, dude, no. I don't like, that's what I need. Like I need, for me to truly believe that could be a possibility in this world, is that I need something to get picked up, moved, thrown across the room, or at this point now, after this 2 days ago when I saw that figure move, I always thought like, oh, if I saw a person in the doorway and then move and then I never saw them again, then I'd be like, that's a ghost. I'm still thinking like, maybe I'm sleep deprived. Maybe I've been drinking too much. Maybe I smoke too much, And so, no, now I'm at the point where like.
Do you smoke a lot, or do you smoke still, or no?
Yeah, I smoke now. I smoke probably like once a week.
Okay.
Yeah, living where I live, as you know, I'm not going to put it out. People won't come and stalk me. No, just kidding. But I only smoke whenever I go to my parents' house.
Okay.
And so like I smoke like once a week, maybe twice. No, yeah. So I don't smoke a lot. So I don't think that really affects my mindset. So I don't know.
Really?
Man. Yeah.
Do you smoke a lot? Like when you smoke, do you smoke a lot at that time?
I do. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
You know what?
But I'm like that with everything though. Like like it pisses me off if I go out to dinner with like, say for me and you went out to dinner, right? Like me, you, Tara, and Saida were couples having dinner, and I'm drinking, and I drink to get at least a buzz, you know. So I'm thinking maybe 3 4 drinks, but I hate when I go out with someone and they just drink like a drink. They're like, you know what? Yeah, I'll have a Corona, and it's like, first off,
I wasn't planning on drinking, but when they felt pretty good after I had those. Like
that's what happens when you come on Slobbing the Pod.
I actually almost want to
to
have one more, dude.
Dude, we'll have another one.
Oh, you want another one?
Yeah, actually, I gotta take a piss.
So do I.
This is perfect timing. All right, perfect. Let's take a break. We'll talk about ghosts and whatever the fuck else comes to our mind.
Yeah, this is a good one, dude.
All right, let's take a break and then we'll come back.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're back.
We are back.
All right. But what were we saying? Talking about ghosts and shit. Oh, so okay. So have you ever had like like I said? Oh yeah. Have you ever had an encounter where at some point you were like, that could possibly be a thing? Like, okay, do you want to believe there's ghosts, or do you think it's just like?
No, like I don't know. I'm sorry to everybody that has. I'm not discounting your experiences, but I wholeheartedly believe that there is like no such thing as ghosts. Like there's no fucking beings that are like, ooh, and like make shit move or whatever. I believe that there's always a scientific explanation to everything, almost like, and maybe I'm wrong, but I just have not seen any evidence for myself for it to be like. I just like I'm pretty set in that. Like I don't believe in ghosts.
What would need to happen for you to believe?
I would need to see a figure, bro.
Really?
Like legit a figure of like somebody, because people like there's there's accounts of like floating orbs like in Louisiana.
The little like dust things.
In Louisiana. In the swamps of Louisiana. Well, a scientist, like a lot of people say that there's some swamps that are haunted in Louisiana or anywhere in the South.
Louisiana in general, don't they believe in like voodoo and shit down there?
Well, a lot of that came from like the slave trade that was brought when the white man brought African Americans to America way back in the day, and they brought a lot of their traditions and their belief systems with themselves, and that's a lot of that included like just like the Native Americans believed in different things, and they believed in black magic and stuff like that. So like they obviously brought that with them, and like I think that like was a byproduct of just them bringing their culture from Africa with them. And so like but I still don't believe in like even any of that. Like I think it's like I think there's I think my toxic trait is just like even it's one of those things where it's like I have to see it in concrete proof, and I have to keep seeing it, and it's
I'm
just
the
like
same.
you know what I mean? I'm like,
the same.
dude, like nah, like this is
So would you ever be down to go and like? So I've always had this idea, and I kind of fucked it up this year because I wanted to do it for like a Halloween episode. Would you ever be down to do like an episode of a podcast in a haunted like hotel room or something?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But see, here's the thing.
But
is I'm actually very afraid of people.
Okay.
Like, especially knowing what I know now, what has recently happened to me. Like, I think about so a while ago, me and my buddy went like way out in the counties, in like the Paradise Casino area.
Okay.
And we found this abandoned house, and my buddy was like, dude, you're not down to go in there. And I'm like, I'm fucking down. And so we went in there, but I wasn't afraid of seeing a ghost. I was afraid of seeing like
homeless people.
Well, not only that,
that's
but
what
like,
I'm always scared
like.
of.
I was like, dude, like, what if we walk into a drug deal, and then like they're like, fuck, we got to get rid of the evidence, and they just fucking kill us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I don't think about like the ghost shit. I think about like, what if we see somebody like, I don't know, like a sex trafficking ring or whatever the fuck is going on outside there. And it's like, I don't want to be a part of that, and I don't want to be like, like once I have eyes on it, it's just like, okay, now I'm associated with that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that's what I'm scared of. Like whenever I go out to like haunted houses or someplace abandoned or creepy, I'm afraid of seeing something that I shouldn't see by living entities that are conducting criminal activity. You know what I
Not
mean?
only that, but like if I like, I've always wanted to go into downtown that
Dude,
hotel.
I wish they would open that shit up and like
You
do
know what I'm talking
something.
about?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like behind downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I've always wanted to go in there, and from what I've heard, homeless people go in there all the time. Like they found a way in. So one, I'm always scared that there's gonna be either like a homeless person or like homeless people in there that are just kind of like they're gonna hurt us or do something to us to get us out of their home or their one place
I
that
mean,
they're
it's
safe.
possible, dude. I mean, like shit in L.A., like the homelessness issue in L.A., it can. I mean, there's stabbings all the time. You go to Skid Row, and like Skid Row used to be just one street, and now it's like a fucking block.
Oh, dude, it's everywhere.
And like you hear about like stabbings and shit like that, and like just like all this shit, and like there's people that are addicted to drugs on Skid Row, and so like their dealers come to them to continue giving them dope or whatever, and it's like, not saying that like I don't even know what I'm saying, but like drug dealers like are typically people that are like low key, or like they're strapped, or they're they would engage, they're already engaging in criminal activity.
Yeah.
So if you were to stumble upon that in like an abandoned area, like who's to say that like, oh, you know who I am, like I can't let you go to the authorities with like you seeing my face, I have to kill you now. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm afraid of. I'm like, fuck, you know what I mean?
But I don't like, especially in those abandoned places. I also like, I'm scared of like spiders, like bugs.
Dude,
like,
dude, you
like
know
I think of
what?
like the realistic things. Like that's like if I was to go into that place downtown, I'm just scared there's gonna be a bunch of spider webs and shit. Like that's the whole time. Like if we were to do a podcast,
Yeah.
I would just be like, ooh, like what is that? Like
Yeah.
I would not think about like hearing like noises and stuff.
Yeah,
Which
I'm scared. Like I'm not. I've actually gotten a lot better, but like spiders like are just this weird thing with like and it's weird because it's like spiders are like are almost no different in terms of structure like towards another animal, or no like with there's no difference between a spider and a cockroach. The only real difference is this, like I mean obviously their anatomy is different,
well,
but like
one bites and one doesn't. Like,
well aside from that, it's like the only real difference is that like a spider just has 2 more legs. Cockroaches have like what, 6 legs.
But-
A spider's an arachnid, so they have like 8 legs. And why is that so scary versus a cockroach or a cricket? But it's like, crickets and cockroaches, they carry diseases. They're most likely, more likely to hurt you in terms of like hygiene than a spider ever will. You know what I mean? But like, why is it the fact that like this fucking thing is like has 8 legs? It's like, oh my god, like it's scary. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
you ever think about things like that? Like, like fears,
no,
like
I guess I never thought about it that way. But like for me, I think movies and shows are what kind of fuck it up for me, because you watch like a movie with like.
I wonder if it's a primal thing, dude. Do you think it's a primal thing?
I don't know. Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean primal?
Well, like, I think there was this one podcast where I was listening to where we only have like 2 natural fears, which is fear of the dark and fear of.
Are you scared of the dark?
I'm not scared of the dark, but I can see why people are scared of the dark.
It's not so much
because it's like you can't see where you are. You have to feel your way around.
Yeah.
And like I think that's part of being a human, is like you are attuned to your 5 senses. You can see, touch, smell, whatever. And when you don't have any of you don't have sight, it's just like such a scary thing to continue walking into this like dark, area, and you're like, where the fuck am I going?
Yeah, it's not so much that you're scared of like black or darkness. You're scared of the unknown. not knowing what's
Mm-hmm.
in that darkness.
Yeah, and lot of it, I think a lot of it has to do with like, I wonder if that was like an evolutionary thing where it was passed down from generation to generation, from like early primates to like where we are now, and maybe we've just always like this, because there's a lot of people that are afraid of the dark, and I can see why, because like it's a natural fear. So like all your other fears of like, oh, my car, I wonder if my car is going to break down today, like I don't know, like you fearing that, you were taught that, you know what I mean, because you were taught to think that like your car breaking down is a bad thing, when all it really is just, it's your car breaking down is not a good or bad thing. It's just a thing that happens. It's just physics, and gears not aligning together because they're worn out, and it's just like I said, it's no different than a stick breaking. Like it's like a stick breaking is just a stick breaking. It has no, like, in terms of like, obviously, like, emotionally it's stressful to you, because you're like, this is going to cost so much money and this and that, but it's like, it's not a real fear in terms of like, it's just a thing that was taught to you because you've seen other people that have said, oh my God, like my car's going to break down. So you were taught that in that, essence of like being scared of like your car breaking down, when all it is it's just hunks of metal that aren't aligning correctly or not lubricated well enough or whatever. And it just doesn't work anymore. You know what I mean? But when it comes to the dark or natural fears, like fear of falling and fear of the dark, I think that comes from like primal instincts of like, not knowing what is in that dark and not knowing if you're going to survive after you fall. You know what I mean? So like, I think that like,
or not knowing going into the dark what could possibly be in the
exactly.
dark. Because there's
sometimes I wonder. I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Sometimes I wonder if like, okay, so if we're afraid of the dark, like what is in the dark that
we're afraid of?
That we're, because if it's just the dark and there was no danger, there was no real danger. So I think on this, I wonder if I think it was a Joe Rogan podcast or some other podcast. Like back in the day, arachnids and other animals used to be fucking huge because we were very small.
As a
species back then, and things were a lot bigger, So I wonder if due to evolution, like there was either fucking big spiders or big bugs back in the day that could fucking kill you, like legit, like your size, or big cats. And I wonder if that was like, maybe that's why we're naturally afraid of things. And all this other shit that we're afraid of, like, oh, I'm gonna lose my business, like it's just all bullshit. You know what I mean? So like, I wonder if that's why people are like primal fears. That's why I say like primal fears. Like that's probably what they're afraid of. It's like,
yeah, I mean, also like I think going back to the whole dark thing, like I said, I
used to be afraid of the dark for a long time too. Like no shit.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember, like, I don't know if that was a fear of mine growing up, like when I was younger.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was terrified of the dark, dude. I was fucking absolutely terrified. I don't know why. I don't know what it was, and that's why I say like I wonder if it was just a primal thing. Like,
but also, do you think it could be because the movies you watch, the things you've seen on TV, like things that influence you? Because, like you said, say you grew up in a world where there was no movies or no one ever talked about like, oh, I went to this dark room and there was this. It's like, if you just had this life where you just assume like, oh, I could just go into this room that I've always been into, but now it's pitch black. Now it's like, now I'm worried about something possibly coming out at me or something that's in the dark that I'm unaware of. And so I feel like darkness, people are scared of darkness because it's the unknown. You don't know what's in there. Like you said, if you knew that you walked into a place and you knew there was nothing in there and it was pitch black, then you'd be totally fine. Or you walk into a place that's like pitch black and you're walking around, you're trying to feel your way around and you're just like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Why is it cold in here? Like, what's that noise? Like, you start thinking of, and that's the thing is like when you're in the dark, you start thinking of everything that could possibly be. Because I think about that, like when I'm not scared of the dark, but I know there's been times like at home when we're asleep or something, I wake up in the middle of the night. Like, I'm just thinking like, if I hear something in the dark, especially, I'm just like, what the fuck could that possibly be? I should be thinking like it's nothing, but in my head I'm thinking like, well, it ups the ante, and now it's like another level of
Yeah.
now it's dark. Now
Mhm.
I have no idea what's in
It
that
could
corner.
probably be because like you're associating the darkness with like, okay, it's time to rest now because the sun is down, and so
Nothing
like
should be
yeah,
happening.
nothing.
No
should
one
be
should be
yeah.
awake.
And so like you probably like just think like, to me in the dark when something goes bump in the night, I'm like, somebody's trying to get in the house or somebody's fucking with something or
At
like,
home, yeah.
and I'm like, I need to get my gun or whatever, and I'm like, to protect myself. And so maybe to me, I just think it's like more of like a primal thing, like fuck, like I just like my instincts kicking in.
Yeah,
I don't know.
true. Well, no, that's definitely true. Like I've had times like for instance, like sometimes we have, we'll like
You've never been afraid of the dark, like ever?
I think I have, but like a basic.
I was afraid of the dark like well into my fucking like high school, dude.
Well into like now. No, I don't know, man. Like I said, I think now thinking back to it, I think the reason I would ever be scared of the dark is because I don't know what's in there.
Right.
So
right,
like,
right.
but like I've never been scared of like if I have to, maybe I'm asleep and I wake up and I want to go to the kitchen to grab something to drink and everything's dark. I'm not scared of that. Because I know my house, I know my layout, I know there's nothing there.
You know what's got to be a real this is just fucking popped into my head right now. You know what's got to be a fucking
Make it blink.
Oh no! I'm so sorry, dude.
No, you're good. Where'd it go?
Oh, it's right under the chair, like directly underneath the chair.
Know what?
You know what's got to be a surreal feeling? Is like every now and then I watch like pilot videos, and they're so mesmerizing because
Like planes?
yes, like pilots, like a POV like of pilots like flying, like how it looks from the takeoff and whatever. And I saw this one where it was like they were flying at night, and it fucking blew my mind because obviously we have like GPS and Garmin and all these instruments to help us know where we are, to orient the plane and this and that. But like to understand that, like, dude, like when I saw this video of these guys like flying in the night, it's fucking pitch black. They don't even know where like I couldn't even tell where the fuck you're going.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do these people like? And I also think about like before there was ever GPS or like a tower telling you, hey, you're this far off from the next airport or whatever. How did you fly? Or maybe they didn't because
They just had to believe in their radar.
yeah.
No, dude, you know what? I get the same thing. So
It's just like, dude, how can you fly a fucking vehicle going like, I don't know how many knots per hour, but I think it equates to like 700 miles. Like I think 700 miles an hour is a cruising speed for a standard jetliner or whatever.
yeah, like an airport, like an airplane.
Like a Boeing, and they're going so fast into nothingness, and I'm like, where are you going? But they have instruments, and I'm like, just like seeing the POV of like just blackness in the night, and I'm like, there's no cloud. You can't see any clouds. It's just you're just flying into like just black, and I'm like, that's got to be fucking insane, dude.
No, dude, what scares me? I just saw this recently on TikTok. A ship or a boat out in the water in pitch blackness. It's black.
Yeah. And the water
it's the
engulfs
same,
like the fucking ship and shit.
It's
like,
the same if you close your eyes and open them. It'd be like if you just kept your eyes closed the whole time because it's so black. It's so scary. It's like the darkness. Like you don't know what's out there. And I've seen like with like video of like of ships out in the ocean, like way out there, and they're traveling and stuff, and like they turn the lights off, and it's just like, oh my god, like there's nothing.
you can't tell that there's like, you can't even see your hand in front of you.
Exactly.
It's one of those things where it's like,
Exactly.
holy shit. Like,
Dude, and what also, and then I started thinking like even deeper, like imagine being on that boat and like falling into the water in that
you're
blackness.
fucked, bro.
Dude,
You're
I would die of a heart attack just being and that's
yeah, bro.
and that's what
I'm
scares
done
me.
For, bro. Like, just God take me now.
And that's what scares me of the darkness is like just not knowing what could possibly be in that area because I can't physically see it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if imagine being in the ocean and middle of the night, black as fuck, dark,
Yeah.
and like you feel something like
Imagine
rub across your
imagine
foot.
the pilgrims, dude, when they or the conquistadors or whoever was sailing to the early Americas
And they just had like
the 1600s, and it was like they sit. I mean, they don't have the technology that we have today, and like they're sailing on fucking toilet paper sails or whatever.
wind and direction.
Yeah, wind and direction. Like we're going this way, and like it didn't take them. It took them like months to get to America, or at least a month or a couple weeks or whatever. And it's like that involves being in the dark.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit, these people like are literally on a ship in the middle of the ocean that's like they don't have the technology that we do, and they're like just fucking going for it, and they're like, oh, hope we get there, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
That
yeah.
was fucking insane, dude.
I hope we're going the right way we should be going. Yeah. Dude, it's so fucking... And also, talking about that, like, imagine, like, ships in, like, the 1700s and shit, like, with just sails, like, wind that's supposed to push them. Imagine there's a day when it's, like, calm. No wind. They just sit in the water.
Yeah.
They just... because nowadays we have propellers and stuff. We have motors that push... if there's no wind... All right, cool.
What
We
if
don't
the
need
wind
a
is going
sail.
the wrong direction?
Exactly.
Like, what do you do?
Dude, I don't... And that's what I'm saying, like, that shit... That's insane that people back in the day
Those
would even...
those people, shit, man. I know, like, Christopher Columbus and all them conquistadors, they have a bad rap, and I'm saying this is like...
I know, yeah, I've heard about that.
As a Native American myself, like, those people had balls, dude, to fucking get on a ship and sail halfway across the ocean. It's fucking insane, dude.
And that's why, like, yeah, it's like, I remember...
And they did it multiple times, going back from, like, England to Spain and England and back to the Americas. And, it's like, what the fuck, dude? You got to be a sick motherfucker.
And that's why, like, my thing... my thing, too, is, like, I remember at one point when I was in high school, we used to always, like, during Columbus Day, we would have a day off. Mm-hmm. Because of Columbus Day. Yeah. And then they found out that, Columbus brought slaves across. That's who worked the boat and the ship and shit. And so we stopped having that. We stopped having Columbus Day off. Even now, like, if you have a normal job, like...
That's such an ugly part of history, huh?
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, my mindset has always gone back to, like, yeah, like, okay, maybe they brought, slaves across to, what's it? George? What's his name? That founded America.
Oh, it was Christopher Columbus.
Christopher Columbus.
And then,
so they say, like,
the Spanish Armada. They didn't.
Well, okay. So Christopher Columbus says that he founded America, right? Mm-hmm. Then we find out, there's Native Americans that live here, and they're like, we've been here this whole time. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I get that, but the fact that this motherfucker traveled through the waters on a sail ship, they just relied on, like, wind to get them here. Like, in my mind, I'm thinking like, bro, let them have it. Like, dude, they traveled all this way.
I know.
And, these Native Americans were born and they were already here on the island. Like, okay, yeah, I get it. They probably found it first. But this motherfucker, like, went through life and death situations just to get here. Like, let him have it. He really tried. And I know this is an unpopular opinion. I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for it. But I'm just thinking, like, this motherfucker, like, came across here. Mm-hmm. He didn't have a motor. He didn't, what I'm saying? Like, he didn't have a proper map.
And I don't think you have to agree with, like, the fact that, Christopher Columbus, like, he did, and as well as the Spanish conquistadors, they did some awful things to the Native Americans. But I think that was just like, I think, like, you could still look back and be like, holy shit, how did the fuck did you sail, halfway across the world with no GPS? And, like, it's fucking mind boggling.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so, like, I definitely don't approve of, like, what, Christopher or, Cortez, that landed in Mexico did, or like, the lower Americas, like what they did, like, but I think like you can just like look back and be like, holy shit, like that was a feat to accomplish. And it's
Exactly.
like, what the fuck, bro? Like,
You got to give them
you
some
know what I mean?
respect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I think everybody was savage back then still too. So it's like to say that, like, obviously, Christopher Columbus was no saint, and neither was, Cortez, but, neither was the Native Americans. You know what I mean? I mean, like,
Yeah.
myself, like, I'm
It's very true.
Native American, and like, I think everybody was just like savage because,
Like Indian Native American?
yeah, like, well, okay, so I did my 23andMe, and I had already known this, that I was, part Native American because, obviously I'm Hispanic, and I'm, my grandparents come from Mexico, Hermosillo, Mazatlan, or whatever, and like, you're gonna be mixed with something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And so like, part of, I'm like 40%, 48% Native American, and then the other percent, the rest is like Portuguese and Spanish and French and Arabic, and it's weird. So like, to say that, like, everybody was a saint back then. I mean, like, dude, look at the Aztecs, and the Mayans. They used to like sacrifice neighboring tribes, and it's like, I mean, I don't think that like any one person was good back then. I just think that they were a product of like what they believed back then.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
Like they were like,
yeah,
okay, like I believe in sacrificing this neighboring tribe, and Christopher Columbus believed in, the Pope and the Catholic Church, and they brought slaves back, and it's just like a fucking, it was a fucked up thing back then. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I don't know why we even fucking talking about this.
We were talking about like the whole being on a ship in the darkness, and then going back to Christopher Columbus and like what he went through. But no, I never, that's funny that you bring that up, because I never thought about it that way. Like that, in a way, everyone had their own beliefs. So Christopher Columbus coming over here, maybe he never thought that what he was doing was bad, because that's what he believed. Same thing like with religion.
Well,
like everyone,
I think it was a part of the I think so whoever was funding, Christopher Columbus's voyages, I think, and Cortez, they said, okay, well, you're going to bring back, slaves. And that's just how, they thought, like, okay, well, I have to bring back slaves to the king or queen or whatever. And then that's just how it, like, ended up being. You know what I mean? It's just like one of those things where it was like, it's a fucked up thing, but it's just like, it happened so long ago. It's just like, how can you, those people are no longer alive today. You know what I mean? So you can't really hold them accountable. So it's like, fuck, it is what it is. And it's just like, it's history, and you just learn from it. You know what I mean? So it's like,
But that's another thing about history, though, is like, we base history off stories. You know what I'm saying? Like when the whole Christopher Columbus thing, there was one person that survived everything, and he told the story to another person, and then that person told, and they kept just telling the story, and that's all we base it off of. Like, we only believe what happened with Christopher Columbus because of a story that got passed on by generations and generations. But I remember when I was in I think
there's also like, written documents and stuff like that.
Yeah, that too. But who wrote them?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? At some point it was talk, and then someone was like, I need to write this down. So they wrote that down, and then it went like that. And so I remember there was like a thing, I don't know if it was in the military or if I was in school, but we did this thing where it was called like, I think it was called like telephone. And one person would whisper into another person's ear. They would say like a saying or something. And then that person would pass it on. It'd be like 20 of us. Pass it on. By the time it got to the end, that person said something completely different than the person that first person said.
Yeah.
So I always think about that, like with history.
You know what's funny that you say that is because, like, I believe in God, but like I don't know if I
I
believe
believe in God, but
yeah, I don't know if I believe in hell, because hell
Mm.
was a thing that was brought in. It was just like, for lack of better, explanation, it was one of those things that was just like, it was a thing that was made up, almost like,
okay.
because hell was like, if you look at like there's like ancient texts that were found saying that like hell is like there was no document of hell before like the 1400s or some shit like that, and like they were saying that like, oh, like, and they used it as a tactic to tax people, and like, so it's like, it's just weird thinking about like, okay, so if there was no hell before, then why is there a hell now? And like, I wonder if that was like misconstrued with like, oh, if you don't believe in God, like
This is what's gonna
this is
happen.
what's gonna happen. Then it turned into something that's like, okay, now you will burn in hell. You know what I mean? It's like, what? Like, like slow down. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I mean, well, you don't believe in like when there's a good, there's a bad.
I think that like I have more of a
Because I think that's what heaven and hell is.
right. Well, I
Heaven's the
personally,
good,
I
hell's the bad. So it's like, if you don't believe that, when you pass away, you're gonna go to heaven and you're gonna do all this, or if you're a really bad person, you do all this bad things, then you're gonna go down to hell.
well, that's the problem with like modern beliefs. It's like, okay, so at what point do you count something as being um bad or good? Like, do I have to do, and for example, like, do I have to do 10 good things and maybe one bad thing to go to heaven? Do I have to do 8 good things and maybe 2 bad things to go to heaven? Or like, where do you draw the line? And so like that's where it's like, I believe, like, personally, I believe that we're in hell as we speak. Like life is just, life can be fucking hard, dude, and it fucking sucks sometimes, but it also can be like this beautiful thing that you can cultivate into, like, you can build you literally can build your dream life, if you manifest and you just fucking, work on whatever you're trying to work on. And so um like I don't really believe in good. I mean, obviously there is good and bad things, right? On the societal, aspect, like there's good and bad, right? Like, I don't know what you would consider doing being good, but for example, maybe good for you is like helping out the homeless, or growing your business, or growing your podcast, or whatever it is, right? But then where do you draw the line where like bad is, And so like, um, I've been like kind of like learning more about like nihilism, and like nihilism is like nothing is really good or bad when you remove yourself. Like, if you look at everything from like a third person perspective, like nothing is really good or bad. It just is. You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of people like say, "Oh, I want to be happy, or I want to be rich, or I want to do this, or I want to do that." It's like, okay, like why? Because you think that is good, or do you think it's like where you are right now is bad, or like, and if like it is bad, like where do you draw the line? And then like that's why I go back to the heaven and hell thing. So it's just like, what determines whether you get into hell or not? Like, just because you say the hocus pocus of like, oh, I believe in this or I believe in that, and then like you're good. Oh, I'm safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like from a nihilist perspective, it's like the and then like I'm gonna talk about the car. Like when your car breaks down, it's like, okay, a car breaking down is usually something bad that happens to you,
Yeah.
but why is it bad? But then when you remove yourself from you look at it from a third person's perspective, it's just physics, right? It's like the stick breaking. Like when you break a stick, it's neither good or bad. It's just a stick breaking. So when I see a car breakdown, it's just like, it's not good or bad. And like, yeah, it sucks and it's probably gonna cost you money, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like it's just something that happens.
It's just part of life.
It's just something that, yeah, kind of but like more from like a it's just like it's like I drank those 3 beers. Is it good or is it bad? Some people might say it's bad because it's not good for your health, but some people might say it's good because it's good for conversation, and we're doing this podcast and it's funny and it's awesome, and we're having some insightful talks. But really, at the end of the day, it's like it doesn't really matter, because it's just me drinking beer and people having opinions on it, and it just is. It's not good or bad. It just is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I know, I don't know. It, like, nihilism is such a weird way of thinking about things. It's like when you think about things, it's like nothing really matters. It just is. Like Christopher Columbus, like society, like on the societal aspect, like he was a bad person. Or, Cortez, he was a bad person. He conquered Mexico and, enslaved indigenous people. It's a bad thing. But then on the societal aspect, excuse me, from the nihilist aspect, it's just something that happens when one tribe is more equipped than another to take over another tribe, and it just happens. It's like it's just the hierarchy of like what happens in this life. It's just like somebody more powerful than somebody else will overtake somebody that's not as powerful, and it's just what happens. It's not like good or bad. It just is.
You lost me a little bit.
I'm sorry.
I was trying to follow you, but you lost me a little bit.
I'm so sorry, dude.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm listening.
Yeah, it's just like your Nikes. Do you like them?
Yeah, I like them. Yeah, I mean, I like them because of the way they look.
Well, it almost doesn't matter why you like them. They're just Nikes. They're just leather and shoelaces, and
it's just an object.
It just is. It's not good or bad, or it's an ugly shoe. No, it's a fucking sick shoe. Oh, I need to cop those, or nah, those are I hate that color, or whatever the fucking.
You like them?
I fucking love Jordan. I've been wanting some Jordan 1s for so fucking long, dude. But I actually copped these.
Those are nice. I've been staring at them,
dude. I changed the laces. I
love the orange. I love when people do that. Mm-hmm. Because I've always been. I always see like Jordans, and I'm like, why the fuck would you put pink laces or something on them? But in time, I'm like, you know what? That don't look too bad. Like,
Well, I did it to accent. It's just minor accents with the back.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Of the. I'm fucking like lifting.
Damn, you stretchy, dog. Yeah, you flexible.
Yeah, I did it to accent the orange label in the back. But back to the whole like shoe. It's like people like shit because at that time it's tribalistically like acceptable. Like,
what do you mean tribalistically?
Well, like Nikes and
like you're supposed to like them, or
like you're just kind of like you're conditioned to like certain things, and you just kind of fall into maybe a category. You get influenced, and you get you get around people that like the same things or whatever, and it's just like, but the Nikes or Adidas or whatever the fuck you have on your shoes, it's like it's not cool, or it's not lame, or it's like, oh, I want to cop those. It's like it just is. It's not really like a it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter like what you like or what you don't like, or it's just something that happens, and like it's like a weird way. I don't know. Is it making sense to you?
No, not really. I'm sorry. I'm trying to follow though. I'm trying to be real with you though.
It's like no. I appreciate that though, but I like these glasses.
Okay,
they're fucking cool.
I like your sunglasses,
and I like your sunglasses.
Thank you.
But when you look at it from a third person's perspective, the universe or the earth or whatever, like, it doesn't matter what you like or how you dress or how far you've evolved or what businesses you've built or how great of a podcast or how good your content is. It doesn't matter. It just is. And it's like, yeah, like, you learn how to captivate audiences, and you learn how to build an account or, build a business or, I don't know, like you're great at basketball, but at the end of the day, it's like like nothing matters because it just is. It's not good or bad. It just is. Like Jordan was great at basketball.
Okay.
Fucking awesome. Like one of the, like we'll probably never see for a long time a player like him.
Okay.
Derek Jeter, fucking phenomenal baseball player. We'll probably never see I'm just giving examples of like on the societal sense, like they were great players and great people from a societal aspect, but like it almost doesn't matter. It's not good or bad. It just is. It's just this thing.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
It's not.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not this thing where it's like there's no. Like I said, like I go back to this third person thing where it's like good and evil. Is there a balance? Is there not a balance? I don't know. It just is, and it just things happen, and that's just the way it is. And there's no explanation. Maybe there is an explanation. Maybe that person that shot at me was a good person. Maybe he wasn't a good person. It's just something that happens, and it's just like I think that's just like this thing where in a universe full of infinite possibilities, it just is. It's not good or bad. It just is.
I get you. Yeah. No, that actually, I get you. The more you explain it, I get it now. So you're pretty much saying there's no black and white. There can be a gray area, but that gray area could be like, it doesn't have to be good or bad. It doesn't have to, I like it or I don't like it. It's just like everyone has their own opinion on things.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that sense, like you could like these. A lot of people could like my shoes.
I love your shoes.
A lot of people.
I've been, like I said, I've been trying to cop some fucking Jordan 1s for so long. But at the end of the day, like, if a meteor would have hit this earth, none of it would have mattered.
Exactly, yeah.
Like if it pulverized everybody that lived on this fucking planet, it just would not matter at all.
Yeah.
And that's just it. We're just a bunch of monkeys that are
monkeys.
Equitably adept to, evolving and continuously bettering things, and but I don't know.
It's just like one of those things where it's like you either like it or you don't, but it's not so much that. It's like there can be things that you don't like, but a lot of people do like them. Like I think about like music, like Creed, right?
Okay, this is gonna be the most embarrassing thing,
but so like
Creed is low key good, bro.
Okay, see. So like a lot of people can.
Why do they get so much hate?
That's what I'm saying. So
Like,
a lot of
it's
people
like-
can think Creed is like corny or cheesy or whatever bullshit. But they're a huge hit. They sold a bunch of records. They're a huge band. Their music is top notch. Anytime I mention them, obviously we know who they are. We have an idea of the music they've played. We know a song that they've sung. But there are people out there that are just like, that shit's trash. I think about that with like the Beatles. I honestly, it's an unpopular.
They're just capping, bro.
It's
Anybody that says that
no,
they don't
hold
like
on.
Creed, it's like, it's like, why?
It's
Like,
an unpopular opinion for me,
it's like,
but
they
I
have
don't.
good melody. They have a great guitarist. They have a,
Yeah.
everybody's, it's the singer, the voice. It's like, what's wrong with the voice? And it's like, but it's like, it's not that bad though. Like, it's like
But no, so for me, it's like for me, my thing is the Beatles. I don't like the Beatles at all.
Neither do I.
But yet somehow
You're the only person that I've ever fucking met that does not like the Beatles.
No, hold on. I think I'm the first person you met that actually admitted that they don't like the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with like, there's a lot of bands out there that are like worldwide, world renowned. That most of the world, these are like, if they go from here to America, if they go to, London, France, fucking Spain, fucking Africa, wherever the fuck they go, they're gonna be known because they have such a huge, wide audience. They have a worldwide audience. But for me, like, I don't like it. I don't like the Beatles. I don't like I maybe like a few songs from AC/DC, but I don't understand why they are as big as they are. Kiss. I like a few songs. I don't understand why they are so big. I
Yeah.
don't know why they are so huge, but
Mm-hmm.
that's just me. That's my opinion. And it's the same thing like you were saying, like with the Jordans, like with anything you were talking about, is that there's no good or bad. There's no there's no I like this, I don't like this. There is an area in the middle where it's like that middle area is, well, half of America likes this. Why don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like, should I fall into that lane where because everyone else likes them, I'm supposed to like them? But I've tried. I've given the music a taste. I've given clothing. I've given it like Yeezys. They're expensive shoes. They sell out all the time. People try to resell them for so much money. And in my head, I've said
They
this
look
out
like
loud.
tortas, you know what I
If
mean?
I had the money, if I was a billionaire, I would not buy a Yeezy shoe. I would not buy a Kanye West shoe. Strictly because I just don't like the way they look. That's it. But I know that there are people out there that they're just like, what? How do you not like this? It's Kanye West. It's a product of his imagination. It's what he creates. He's a genius. So it's like if I have the money, I'm gonna buy it. It's like no. And I always think like if I make it big, when I make it big, I'm gonna live like Adam Sandler because for the fact that like I'm gonna wear like I've told my girl, I'm like, I'm sorry, but like I can't see myself buying a shirt that costs more than $60. I don't understand when people buy $500 t-shirts, $600 pair of pants, or a shoe or something, or Balenciaga and shit. Like half the shit Balenciaga puts out, or like Gucci, or any of those fancy name brand shits. I don't understand. Even if I had the money, I would not buy those. I don't understand it. And that's just something for me that like I've always been like kind of like embarrassed to say, but like going back to the whole music thing, like unpopular opinion, I don't like the Beatles. They don't do anything for me. None of like there's maybe a few songs that I'm like, okay, I get it. Like it goes with the movie, it goes with that time. But for the most part, it's not something I listen to on the road. It's not like my go-to. There's not one song that I'm like, oh, I gotta listen to the beat. You guys ever heard this Beatles song? Like, dude, no. Like, I just don't give a fuck. But I know half of the world loves the Beatles. Like if
Yeah.
like when one of them dies, like the whole world goes into a whole fucking frenzy. And for me, I'm just like, who died? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't fucking care. Like I don't know. So I get where you're coming from. It's just like there's no there shouldn't and there isn't a good and a bad, a good and evil. Like there's just a middle area where people can just be
Mm-hmm.
like, I
But
don't.
it's a weird thing to juggle too, because it's like obviously killing people is bad.
Obviously.
You know what I mean? Like it's a
Yeah, that's
Like,
something we
killing
can all
someone
agree
is
on.
not
That's a black and white area.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no gray area. There's no one like I understand
you know,
that. Like
it's, just,
no.
it's like, well, like, maybe, I want to kill this person, but like I said, when you remove yourself from the situation, it's just like people just have killed each other for various reasons since the beginning of time, and I think it's just like one of those things where it's just like shit just happens just because, and there's no real. I mean, you can have a definition of like why it's bad, and you should, and society holds you accountable to those standards. Like obviously killing people is bad, but at the end of the day, like the universe doesn't care if I die tomorrow. Like the universe is just gonna continue
It's
doing
gonna keep going.
just gonna continue doing its thing. It's just the universe. It's just in a realm of infinite possibilities. It's like, I will die one day, whether it's tomorrow or when it's, when I'm 90 or 100, or it's just gonna happen. And it's just, whether I fall into those odds, it's it's one of those things where, like, if I die tomorrow, it's obviously a bad thing for my wife and whoever loves me or whatever, but it's just a thing that happens because it's just, you know, the human condition. People just do shit to do shit, you know.
Yeah.
And there's no almost, I don't know, like I think that like we just try to find explanations as to why things are the way they are, and they just, there's no real explanation. It just is, and that's why it is,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
I totally understand where you're going with this. Yeah, I've thought about that too. It's just like I think I think specifically me and you going into the military, we kind of got a glimpse of that once we're gone. When people once we've had friends, then we joined the military, and then once you're in the military, it's like you go a good 4+ years, or 2, 3, 4+ years, where the friends you had at that point, like you're no longer a thing anymore. Like you go on with your life in the military. You can't expect to come back, and the people that you're with also understand where you're coming from. They also moved on with their lives. I think about joining the military in a sad way, but kind of like your death, because in a way, you join, you go on, and people get a glimpse of what you're doing, but at the same time, they kind of forget about you. They kind of learn to live without you and stuff. And
It's
so
fucked up when you think about it that way too, huh? Like,
it is, but I like putting myself in situations where I'm in that, where, oh, I'm what I'm doing right now. There's people back home that are continuously living their life, and when I come back and meet them, they're gonna be like, oh shit, I forgot you ever lived. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And I kind of
I
just
see people like that, like fucking everywhere, dude. Like the Crass, Fat Harveys, or whatever wherever the fuck I'm going, you know. But it's just this thing where it's like whoa, you know.
everyone lives in their own world,
Yeah.
and if you're not physically, emotionally in their world at all times, then at some point you get forgotten. And you could be physically alive in this world, but if you're not in front of that person, you're not hanging with them constantly, you're not on the phone with them, you're not hearing their voice, you're not touching them, whatever, then at some point you're just kind of like, oh well, I'm no longer a part of their lives, and now I do my thing, and now they are doing their own thing, and in a sense, in a fucked up way, they forget all about you.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think that's just something that you kind of have to go through in life, um, especially if you want better for yourself. It's something it's a sad fact, and it's something I hate to think about all the time. But it's like, if you want something in life, you're gonna have to sacrifice certain things. And I didn't realize sacrificing certain
Absolutely.
things meant erasing an idea of you to other people.
Yeah.
So like for me,
Mm-hmm.
like
100%.
doing this podcast, doing my stand up and stuff, like sometimes I can't go out because I have to do a podcast. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for example, if like today someone, wanted to hang out with me, it's Friday night, people go out and stuff, and they wanted me to go out. It's like, well, I have a podcast, if I have a show on a Tuesday night and people want to hang out, it's like, well, I have comedy. So eventually you start separating yourself from physically being with these people that at some point they're just kind of like, I haven't heard from so and so in a long time. Like, I don't know what he's up to. He could be alive or dead. I don't know at this point, And for me, that was something that was like a sacrifice. For me, a sacrifice was always like, oh well, I can't be there because I gotta do this. But like, people are always gonna remember, like, okay, well, next time we'll hang out with them. At some point, you start canceling things with people because of your goal or whatever, or you're in the military or whatever. Like, this is what I have to do. Like, I'm sorry, I can't be there. That at some point, people are like, okay, they get to an idea where they're like, well, I'm no longer gonna invite him. I'm no longer gonna
Mm-hmm.
bring them along because they're always too busy or they're doing this and that. And so at
They're
that
just
point,
they're just not on the same wavelength. And this is why I love the book, Winning by Tim Grover, because he talks about how, like, when you grind, you turn into dust and you form nothing essentially. But when you sculpt, you remove things, like the sculpting something like a figure or a pot or whatever you're sculpting is, it's the removal of excess things to become this beautiful structure. And when you equate that to like your life, you're like, well, like it's almost the same thing, because it's like, in 3, 4, 5 years, the Jordan now is not going to be the Jordan you're gonna be, because
You sculpted that.
because you sculpted, like,
You got rid of those things that are no longer
and
part of you.
it's literally like you everybody's wondering, like, oh, like, what are the habits of the most successful people or millionaires or whatever. It's like, well, you can add that to your routine, whatever they're doing, but like at the end you have to remove things from your life to be what you want to be, because it's like it's the art of subtraction that adds up the most. Because
It's funny that the subtraction adds like the two opposites.
Yeah,
subtracting yourself adds up to something.
Yeah, because like when you if I want to sculpt a those Greek sculptures that are fucking statues, you have to remove, like, it starts off as a block, and you have to remove so much, and like just a lot of shit to become what you want to become. And like that's where the whole thing is just like, like you the idea of you or who you once were is going to be gone to some other people, because you're going to be so focused on what you're doing. And like I don't think that, like, that's what it requires to people that want to achieve anything. It's like, dude, you have to like remove things that are keeping you from building what you want to build.
Yeah.
And you're sculpting something at that point in time, like when you're removing shit. And like that might, and I'm not saying not to hang out with friends, I'm not saying not to go out and have fun or do whatever you want to do, but like, you have to give up something, and it can't be both. It can't be, you can't do both. And I've never seen anybody that has done both, that like, oh, well, I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this, and then I'm going to go out with my friends and then do this. And it's like, no, dude, like you will get much further. It's better to be a mile high and an inch wide than to be a mile high and an inch wide than to be a mile wide and an inch long, because you're spreading yourself thin. Versus if you just focused on one thing or a couple things or one or two things, you would get much further, because you that becomes your focus. You know what I mean? And that becomes your sculpting period, where it's like, okay, now, I'm Jordan, and I will do this podcast, and I will see a result. And oh shit, is it dead?
Yeah, it's fine. We're almost done anyways.
Okay. And like it's just like it's the art of subtraction, and that's what I love about that phrase in the book so much. It's just like you have to let go of certain things to become, because you can't take all the shit with you. At the end of the day, it's like you can't. It's just impossible. You know what I mean? I've never seen people that have like, very successful people that have like clung on to dead shit, and it's just like, it just makes no sense.
Yeah.
In that aspect, it's like, why? When you can just focus on one thing and forget about all the distractions and bullshit and people that have forgotten you, so you can become this thing that you want to become.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people that want to get into self-promotion or things like me and you are doing, podcasting, creating content for, the barbershop for you when you cut hair and stuff, is that you have to kind of separate yourselves from other people, because you no longer are part of those normal people per se. Mm-hmm. And so you know that by doing these things, you're going to not be a part of certain things or not always be there.
You can't do everything.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, like the whole, spreading yourself thin, which I felt for the longest time, was I was always trying to, do the podcast, do stand up, try to hang out with people. I try to live my normal life, live a life and still do these things on the side. But you kind of have to prioritize what it is you want in life. And you have to, by spreading yourself thin, you can't always be there for everything. So at that point, you're just like, okay, well, what do I really want in life? This is, I want to create content. I want to make a podcast, like stuff like that. Like I want to make a successful podcast and stuff. So I think, I don't know. I think it just comes down to, the people you hang around with. If they truly are the people you want to hang around with and people you want to hang out with in general, like they have to also understand, like, well, I have this, business, or I have this, my goals, my things I want to do in life. So it's like, you have to understand I'm not going to be there at all times. So I think in that sense, like, then you just kind of do what you do and you do what you want to do. And in a way you're selfish, which is fucked up. I've never wanted to think that way, that I'm a selfish person, but
I don't think being selfish is bad.
Oh, not at all. And that's what I'm getting at is like doing.
And I know it's contrary to what I was talking about with my beliefs. Is like there's no good or evil. It just is. But like from a societal aspect, it's like there's no. It's like if it was my business or my podcast or whatever the fuck I'm doing, and I know that it's bringing me some sort of formidable income, or it's just going in the right direction, and it's there's a lot of things aligned for me, why would I give that up for someone that is not aligned with my beliefs, that just wants to steal my time?
Exactly.
And
it's not a bad thing, like, by saying, like, stealing your time. Like, no, I'm not saying, like, us hanging out with friends is stealing our time. Mm-hmm. It's just there's times in our life or now that, well, by not hanging out with you, then it's profiting myself. Exactly. And you're being selfish, but in the sense that by you doing this, you're creating, you're pushing towards your goal. And at the same time, the friends that you hang out with, they should understand that. They should know that, because later on down the road, like, yeah, we can party, we can have fun, we can celebrate these things. And I think for me, like, I stay close to friends that understand that. Like, I have friends to this day, and I have a very small.
I would even go as far as saying it's like later on down the road, like, if you're not where I'm at, like, we can't party and we can't hang out.
Yeah.
Because there needs to be a separation of who that person thought you were versus what you are now, and that's how you evolve as a person. Is like it's like, I used to be a jackass in high school, and like sometimes, this is not real, but it's just like an example. Like, if people still treat me like a jackass, or like, oh, he's that party guy, or he's that clown, or he's that this, or he's funny, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, that was 3, 4, 5 years ago. That's not me anymore. Yeah. And I don't want to be associated with that, and I don't feel comfortable with being in your presence, and I don't think there was anything wrong with that. You know what I mean?
The people you hang out with, they have to understand that we go through changes. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, simple as like when you're in high school, like, I mean, the way you dressed in freshman year compared to senior year, you probably changed. You probably went from like emo phase to like a jock phase to like a preppy boy phase. Like, everything changes. So especially going from that time when you guys were friends and then continuing on, even in real life now, I mean, we all go through our different stages. And as long as I think we make good friends with people that are accepting of the fact that we're at a point now where, okay, now he's in a different phase, and it's tough because I accept people no matter who they are, how they change, whatever it is, because I understand that I've gone through my own changes.
Yeah.
So by hanging out with those people, I assume or I hope that they accept my changes. Like, now he's okay. Now he's a business owner. Now he's sculpting, and so I just assume that I hope and assume that the friends that I'm close with and stuff, that I accept them as the way they are, whether they change or not. I know it's for the better for them, and as long as I can stick around with them during those changes, then that's cool. And I would hope, in return, that they would accept me in those changes as well. So I don't know. But that's just my thought.
Yeah. Well,
but yeah. But we've been going on for a while now.
have we?
Yeah. I know, looking at the time.
It's been fun though, dude. It
Dude.
hasn't really felt like we've been, going on for too long. It just feels very comfortable.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that because that means a lot. That means, you coming to the podcast to talk, the conversation, you sitting here. It's been worth your while, which is everything I've always wanted when I do the podcast, especially when I bring guests on, is I don't want them to come and feel like they wasted time. And I get it. We just come here, we bullshit and stuff. But I like to think that when they leave here, when you leave here, you got something out of it. You feel like you didn't waste your time. I feel like I said, me doing the podcast, this is me taking time away from friends and family and stuff, as well as with you. I know I'm taking time away from, Tara, your wife, your dogs and stuff, your at-home family. I know you can be at home doing, editing, doing some content stuff.
Well, the thing I think about is like when I got asked to be on the podcast, I was like, I feel like, and I'm not like some fucking big figure or somebody that's like, I'm like special or different. And even if I was, like, there's still no different from me. I'm still no different from like anybody that's like, doing really well in life or doing really bad in life. It's just like, I'd like to bring a different perspective of like how I view the world and like why I view it that way. And, to really like, shake the foundation of beliefs, because as you grow up, you think that like things are a certain way, and then you realize that you're like, oh well, that's bullshit, and that was taught to me, and I don't have to believe that anymore. You know what I mean? And so like I'm like, that's like, it's just like almost like back when people thought that the world was flat until they figured out, how to build airplanes, and they flew across the world or whatever, sailed across the world, and they're like, oh, the fucking earth isn't flat and it's round, and everything that people believed before, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Or maybe the earth is flat. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. We'll get more into that the next time. But George, thank you, brother, for coming out. Like you said, you don't think that you're like a big person ever, but like I said, the times I've sat in the chair with you and the conversations we've had, I feel like the conversations alone in that chair have always been like a podcast thing, because the things we talk about are insane. And I think this episode, people got a little glimpse of the things we talk about. But I definitely want to have you on again. So if you don't mind, I will invite you on again.
And I'm up for it, dude.
Thanks
for inviting me, man.
For sure, brother.
Fucking enjoyed this.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Where can we find you?
At George Cordova on Instagram, and that's,
just one word.
Yeah, just
George
all together.
Okay, no underscore, nothing.
Yeah, GeorgeCordova, all lowercase.
We can book
Instagram.
haircuts with you.
Yes, sir. You can go either click the link in my bio or click the book now button, and it's all automated, and it makes it super easy for you to book an appointment. And that's it, man.
Yeah, if you guys ever see me with a fresh cut, you already know that's George over here that's getting me. But thank you, George, for coming on once again. George Cordova, everybody. Round of applause.
No, thank you, man.
I love you, brother. I think that's it.
All right, brother.
Yeah, next time.
Dude, that was fucking...